All right. I don't think it's gonna be enough. If I do this, that like this one doesn't work.
So this was
Do we
the one.
do this? The glare. Well, no. Okay.
You already broadcast? Yeah, we're live. It ain't on YouTube.
It's right here.
Okay. I was getting my work. Yeah, YouTube. Yeah, I know it didn't show up on my notifications.
Oh shit.
But
She was good. She was having a good solo echo.
Mm-hmm. Look like now. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom to everybody online. This is the Hebrew Chosen Elect Sabbath service. We'll be picking back up this week with our No Thanks, No Giving series, part 3, going into the history of Thanksgiving and should we, as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, be celebrating this holiday. Before we get started into the class, we'll do our announcements as usual. Also, before getting started, I want to, above all things, give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh B'Shem, Mashiach, Yahweh Shah. Share my screen again. Salakia. Announcements. Start off with announcements. It being the holiday season, we've been starting off our announcements with Jonah chapter 2, verse 8. And it reads, they that observe lying vanities forsake their own mercy. So everybody's celebrating Thanksgiving this upcoming Thursday. Just celebrate a Halloween. about to celebrate Christmas and New Year's and St. Patty's Day and Easter, and all these people call themselves good, wholesome Christians or Muslims.
That's what I was going to say too.
Or righteous Muslims, but still the same, celebrating all these folly days that were given to them through slavery by their oppressor, and such as Christmas, Halloween, Happy Easter, Thanksgiving, all of such. None of these things you can find in the Bible or the Quran.
That's right.
And I believe both religions teach that God is so merciful, and he's giving grace to us to get right. Well, this scripture lets you know that if you're observing lying vanity, you're forsaking that mercy.
That's right.
That your God has for you.
That's right.
And I'm including Islam because they also read out of the Bible. They also subscribe to the Bible.
That's right. Farrakhan teach out of the Bible more than the Quran. All day. Teach out of the Bible. Teach that we the Israelites, for crying out loud.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so that should let you know you should be going back to these law, statutes, commandments.
And the prophets.
That's right. And the Quran tells you to go back to the revelations that are in the Bible. It tells you to go back to At-Torah. At-Torah meaning the Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Bible. And it tells you to observe all the sayings of the prophets, which you find in the Bible. So the sayings in the prophets, one of the prophets being Jeremiah, as you see this Christmas tree up, it says, learn not the way of the heathen. So we are to put down the ways of the heathens and forsake their ways and not forsake our own mercy.
That's right. So we're not going to go into a whole class on that. We got plenty of them, but tis this season, right? Tis this season to let it be known that we gotta come out of these lying vanities that we're celebrating Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day. I left that out. Before St. Patty's Day, we about to be out here getting flowers and hearts and chocolates for our love. That's going to be our boot thing for the next couple months, and then be a thing of the past. You know, we got to come out of celebrating these folly days, as we call them, but as the scripture calls them, lying vanities.
And we got Hispanic friends and family. They celebrating on 3 Kings Day. Ain't no 3 Kings Days in the Bible.
Right.
Ain't no 3 Kings Day. And plus, ain't no sayings where it says it was exactly 3 wise men or whether it was 1,000 wise men. It says wise men. So that's just another made up day as well.
It just said they brought 3 different gifts. Didn't say how many people brought. Could have been 3 people for each gift. That would be 9 Kings. So it might be 9 Kings Day. If we're going to celebrate that. But we're not, because it's a lying vanity. What are we supposed to celebrate?
We're supposed to celebrate the holy days that's within the confines of Leviticus 23. We're supposed to keep Purim, which is found in the book of Esther. We're supposed to keep the Feast of Dedication, which can be found in the book of Kings. It can be found in the book of Maccabees. And you can find Christ keeping the Feast of Dedication in the book of John, chapter 10, starting at verse 21 and 22. Yeah, I mean, and if Christ kept this and you claim to be Christ-like and a follower of Christ, why wouldn't you do what Christ do? A lot of Christians say WWJD. What would Jesus do? Well, Jesus, who we call Jesus Christ, Hamashiach Yahushua, he would have been keeping the Feast of Dedication, as it says in John 10, 21 and 22.
And that goes to our first announcement, the High Holy Days. The next High Holy Day being the Feast of Dedication coming up, also commonly known as the Feast of Hanukkah. Hanukkah being the Hebrew word for dedication. So the upcoming Feast of Dedication will be keeping as a camp December 26th and the following 7 days, which leads up to, I believe, the 3rd. Possibly. Is the 3rd? Roughly around there, but counts from that day. It's an 8-day feast. The first day will be celebrating December 26th, and then there's 7 following days. Those will be the days of the feast we'll be recognizing. If you'd like to come out and celebrate with us, we'll be having something going on December 26th. Just hit us up. We're going to here in a minute, we're going to post our contacts. So if you're online and you follow us and you want to get together and congregate with us on the Feast of Dedication, hit us up. through our either one of our contacts, and we can get you the place and exact time of that feast we'll be keeping. The next high holy day after that would be the new moon. We also keep the new moon. New moon will be observing January the 1st. Salakia. I'm forgetting the next new moon before feast dedication, December 2nd. December 2nd, if you'd like to see what we're doing and come out and fellowship with us for the new moon, hit us up on our contacts. We can get you the date and time for that as well. So it's important as Israelites coming back to the Most High God and understand who we are, that we keep these high holy days and new moons as subscribed in the Bible. Actually, what God said to follow as opposed to what your oppressor, your friendly neighborhood white man has taught you through years of captivity and oppression. You have to come out of those days and lie in vanities.
Proverbs 3:31 tells us to envy thou not the oppressor and to choose none of his ways.
Next announcement, upcoming coat drive. Hebrew chosen elect and keepers of the gate, community outreach, and also Masha Yasha Allah have the upcoming coat drive here in Wilmington, Delaware, that we do every year. This will be our 6th coat drive. The date, I have to update this flyer, but we have came up with the date of December 21st. We'll be having the coat giveaway December 21st if we decided on the place. Probably the same place. We usually have it at the Congo Funeral Home parking lot at the corner of 24th and Market Streets, Wilmington, Delaware, December 21st. Up until then, we are taking donations of coats or any type of winter apparel, hats, gloves, blankets, whatever would help out with somebody in need to stay warm through the winter. We are accepting those items, new or used in good condition. If it's used, please make sure you would wear it or use it yourself.
And make sure it's clean too.
And clean. Some people are getting these items might not have anywhere to wash these items. So at least give them something that they can start off with clean. You know, a lot of homeless people, they might not see a shelter for a week. They might not wash clothes at all. Let's give them something that's already clean and not already worn and tore, and it looks like they got it up off of the riverbed somewhere. Also, we're accepting cash donations in the form of physical cash if you're able to come here physically and donate to us, or through our Cash App, which is going to be #BDANIE01. And earmark that coat drive or Hebrew chosen elect coat drive. Something let us know that this donation is to support the annual coat giveaway that's coming up December 21st. And also remember, this Cash App is not for the camp donations. So that will be posted on the screen. We always do, but this is totally separate. So if you're looking to donate to the camp to support our ministry, this is not the Cash App you want to use. This is the Cash App specifically for our coat drive. Moving on. Hold on. Go ahead.
Also, if you would like to donate a box of chips, maybe juices, and so on and so forth, maybe some snacks. We do pass out bag lunches when we do the coat drive. It will help contribute to that. Hit me up or Brother Gamari up if you'd like to drop those things off, and we'd appreciate your contribution.
Moving on to the next announcement, our contact information. Go ahead with that.
Yeah, you could hit Brother Gamari up at We Are Israel, Gamari Yasha Allah. You can hit me up, Brandon Daniels, Yakana Maccabi Yasha Allah on Facebook. You could contact us through the group, The Rise of the Chosen, on Facebook.com. And we have two Hebrew Chosen Elect channels, which is HCE Red Pill Reality. We also have older camp videos at HCE Reloaded on YouTube. And if you would like to look up some of our older content, you can go to Mikael7 on YouTube as well.
Yeah, so please like and subscribe to our videos. Also, check us out on the Facebook group. And, if you want to get together, contact us on our contacts above. If you want our phone numbers, hit us up in Messenger, and we can get our phone numbers to you as well. That's that for announcements. Now we'll move forward into the class. If you give me a second. That's announcements. Drop that. So that was that for our announcements. Now we're going to begin our class this week. Like I said before, this is part 3 of our No Thanks, No Giving series with the that we're bringing out. We first brought out the first 2 episodes, 2 installments. We brought out proof that the Native American Indians from North, South America, and the Caribbean are indeed, without a doubt, the children of Israel, the lost tribes that left the old world, quote unquote, and came over here and established the new world, as you read in the book 2nd Ezra chapter 13. The northern kingdoms were in captivity to the Assyrians and left and came to a land never man dwelt, which is in fact here in the Americas, so that they would keep the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. We proved through historical data and archaeology that these Native American Indians are indeed those people that went to that land where never man dwelt. And you can find nothing but biblical customs and law keeping all through all the customs of the Native American Indians, even though through time they have went off and went into idolatry, which we also use to prove who they are as a fact through the curses of Deuteronomy and the punishments that would come on the children of Israel for not keeping the Most High God's laws and worshiping other gods. We proved emphatically that these people that the Europeans, quote unquote, discovered were the children of Israel, proved through history, archaeology, and Bible prophecy and characteristics, one after other, no doubt, who these people were. This week, we're going into the Folly Day that's coming up, Thanksgiving, that all Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians just can't wait for it. It's one of our favorite holidays. We can't wait to get together with cousins and family members and celebrate the death and destruction of our people, which you're actually going to find out in this class today. Thanksgiving wasn't just a celebration of the destruction and conquering of the Native Americans. You'll find that we was even here being tossed around in slavery before the Feast of Thanksgiving was invented by the Europeans here in America. Even you'll find that the Native American Indians were being conquered, taken into slavery, and even traded, not just for money and goods, but also Native American Indian slaves being traded for Negro slaves, Southern Kingdom slaves. So this feast day is not just about, it's not just bad for Native American Indians. This feast day is bad to celebrate if you're a so-called black man and you know your history to be coming over here on slave ships, and before that you lived on the west coast of Africa. This feast day is still in remembrance and thanks of your conquering and your captivity.
Salakia. Not only that, this feast day, it even goes back to pagan harvest feast. Yeah, I mean, it has pagan origins and roots that was just brought to this country, and then they did slaughter our so-called Native American brethren around the same time. So they just put the cherry on top of the ice cream with this. Yeah, I mean, to commemorate them doing their pagan harvest feast after the so-called Native Americans showed them how to live and forage the ground and live off the land. So you have no business celebrating this at all, Con.
So that's all I got. We can move on to the first part of the class unless you got anything else. Anybody have anything to add? Any questions? Okay, we'll get moving on. Let me share my screen. And the first thing I'm going to get into is I got a couple videos. I got some things to read, and some precepts to go through. All these things will be incorporated in the class today. So, like, once again, this is the No Thanks, No Giving Part 3. Should we as Blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians be keeping Thanksgiving? The first video I'm going to go to is a video just to show the mind state of our people around this time. This video is just to show the mind state that all the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians getting ready to celebrate this Folly Day, the spirit that they're in. We're going to see it right here in this video. It's a popular video. We've all probably already seen this video. If it'll load up for us. Just give it a second. But yeah, so this video that's about to come up, that's loading. This is a video. It's a popular song that I've been seeing on Facebook, social media for the past, I don't know, countless years, right? It's not Yellow Pain. Nah. It's the video that it's a song put together by a lady in the church. Looks like she's part of the choir, and she's singing about the upcoming foods that she's about to have laid out for her family on Thanksgiving. On Thanksgiving, what's her name? Shirley Caesar. So this video is pretty popular, and it really gets our people ready for this Folly Day, this feast to celebrate the destruction of our people. Wow, it's moving kind of slow. Maybe if I delete some things. No, we'll do. I'll try it on YouTube, and if I can't pull it up, I guess we'll move on. But let's see. I have it saved on here as well. And make sure everybody log off of Wi-Fi if you're hooked up to Wi-Fi. Might help moving the laptop faster. I remember COVID, all this talk of 5G this, 5G that. So great, 5G. Well, our computer still moves like a turtle. I don't know what's the hype about 5G. What was the hype? I just don't know. Go.
Shirley can sing too. This song entices.
She can sing, but you know what? This would be a good song for our feast days, really. But the sad thing is, this is hyping up our people for Thanksgiving. And I just want. I think it's about to play. I just want to play it because this is the perfect video to show the mind state that our people is in during this holiday season.
Commercial. Yep.
What's up, man? Yeah. So yeah, that's it right here. This is what we all getting ready for this week. Our people is all this is our people this week.
Some hog maws. Y'all get hyped for Thanksgiving, right?
Mm,
Wish y'all was getting hyped for the holy days like this. You know the hop stick to it.
Listen, they going in for it. They going in for Thanksgiving dinner coming up.
Look, they doing step in the
Yeah,
church.
the whole church gonna be doing this Sunday tomorrow. Everybody gonna be listen. They giving it up. They giving up the ghost tomorrow for Thanksgiving dinner coming up.
I seen people already cooking the chitlins on Facebook. Proud of you cooking some chitlins. Leave the chest pot for some Thanksgiving, huh?
Just pop for some stuffing. Booty shaking for some mac. I think Gino Jennings in the back, ain't he? This might be. I think this is church.
Nah, they ain't church.
This ain't his church.
Nah.
Oh.
She got her own church.
Oh, okay.
She an evangelist.
Look. Ooh, baby, I can't wait till you cook this week. This Thursday. I can't wait till you
She
down.
been around for a minute preaching because she been out there since my grandma was alive. I remember being a little kid.
No, I can't wait. Ooh, I can't wait for them potato salad with raisins. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait to bring it to my baby dad's mom's family's get together so they can look at it funny. Yeah, that was it for that. Let me make sure nothing else plays. But that's the spirit that all so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans is in this week. Can't wait for Thanksgiving dinner, and man, they really giving up the ghost, waiting for it. It's always something next. Like I don't want none of that. I need some better internet service. Okay, got that pause. Yeah, so, that's the spirit our people in. Can't wait for Thanksgiving to come. Got the memes. That's just one video that's out there. They got countless, endless memes. Oh, I'm about... you got the memes when I see my cousin in them and blah, blah. You got all these memes. Everybody's getting ready and hyped for Thanksgiving coming up. Everybody's getting their work time in so they can get their money ready for Black Friday. And, like we started off with announcements in the class stating these are all lying vanities that our people are giving into. From there, we're going to read the Wikipedia just about the history of Thanksgiving, the history that they give us of what Thanksgiving is about and how it all started. Then we're going to get into some of the real realities of what it really is. We're going to explore both facets of this thing just to see, like, this is not what we should be following and keeping as so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans here in the United States.
Yep.
And throughout the world, because everybody's starting to follow what Esau does. Remember, we talked about Islam, they're celebrating Christmas. Even the real Muslims, Arabs are coming over here and celebrating Christmas. Arabs are coming over and celebrating Thanksgiving. Chinese people are coming over here and celebrating these holidays. Holidays that have nothing to do with their culture. So you want to read it or you want me to read it? So this is the Wikipedia. of you would look up what Thanksgiving is and what they give you about the history of Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving is a federal holiday in the United States celebrated on the fourth Thursday of November. Outside the United States, it is sometimes called American Thanksgiving to distinguish it from the Canadian holiday of the same name and related celebrations in other regions.
Mm-hmm.
The modern national celebration dates to 1863 and has been linked to the Pilgrims of 1621's Harvest Feast since the late 19th century. As the name implies, the theme of the holiday generally revolves around giving thanks, with the centerpiece of most celebrations being Thanksgiving dinner.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
The dinner often consists of foods associated with New England harvest celebrations.
This is what you was talking about earlier.
Turkey.
Harvest feast.
Mm-hmm.
Pagan harvest feast.
Come on.
Go ahead.
Turkey, potatoes, usually mashed and sweet, squash, corn, maize, green beans, cranberries, typically as cranberry sauce.
Now, before we go, explain what some of these foods represent for Thanksgiving.
Well, the turkey, it represents a scalp Indian head. Our Native American brothers, like around the Massachusetts area, such as the Massasoit and the Wampanoag, they used to wear a headdress made out of the actual turkey head and the feathers. So what they used to do as they conquered our so-called Native American brothers, they used to go through and they used to scalp them and take their headdress. So the turkey itself is symbolic of a scalped Native American head, and it represents the killing of our Northern Kingdom's brothers and sisters.
And after reading about this, we're going to actually, I have that image, and you can see what he's talking about with regards to the turkey representing how the Native American Indians of that area would wear the headdresses. What else?
I spoke on this years ago, and I think the Most High has been able to get me to be able to find this picture, because I wanted to find this picture years ago, and I spoke on it, and I couldn't show what I was referencing. And man, it's just beautiful how they had this headdress too. Yeah, I mean, because it shows that the Native Americans had somewhat of African American features in that we were the same people, because the turkey feathers, they was actually laid out in somewhat of an Afro fashion, the way that the brothers had it on their head. The maize, of course, that was one of the things that the Native Americans harvest, and that the so-called white man came in and took and conquered for their spoil.
Right. But after what? After the Native Americans taught them how to grow.
That's right.
So when you get the images of this happy union between Natives, American Indians, and the Pilgrims, there was a time when there was that, because see, the Native American Indians, they were hospitable. The Pilgrims, they were friendly while they had use of the Native American Indians. So the Pilgrims, they came over here not knowing how to survive on this land. So what they do? After killing off a majority of those that were in the areas that they landed at with their ships, with what? Disease?
Yep.
What was left over, they would come and try to play friendly with. They would try to act like they could help them. And those defeated Indians, they were in need of help. So they were of use also to them, so there became a friendship. But Esau, who these Europeans really are, he always has some type of plan in the back of his mind. So there was a time of friendship so that the Pilgrims could learn how to live on the land, and the Native American Indians, being the hospitable people that God made his children, they were hospitable to them, and they saw that they needed help, and they helped them. And they showed them how to survive off the land, how to grow maize, how to catch fish, how to catch turkey, anything you can think of, anything that they're going to put to the fire to cook or grow or survive off of, they learned first from Native American Indians. Then they slaughtered them after that.
Our people, they like the stuffing on Thanksgiving, and this actual stuffing represents a pregnant woman who the so-called early settlers, I like to call them pirates because let's call it like it is. They were pirates. They used to have contests and drive through on their horse while they were going through different longhouses and different Native American villages. And they used to take their sword and they used to cut the baby out and bet on what sex the baby was going to be while the Native American woman was pregnant, and they would cut the baby out while they were pillaging. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So this stuff that you eat on Thanksgiving, it represents baby guts. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then the cranberry
and what they don't, and the way that they put it, they lay the spread out, it signifies that because they cook the stuffing don't need to go into a turkey, but they cook the stuffing and then they stuff it into where they removed all the guts of the turkey. So it's that way you can't eat they take out the stuff you don't eat of the turkey and they replace it with the stuffing because you can eat it, just signifying them eating of the guts, like you just said. It's very disgusting when you get down to it. Cool. And evil.
Then they got the cranberry sauce. The cranberry sauce represents spilled blood. You know what I mean? Because they spilled thousands and thousands and thousands of so-called Native Americans' blood during the time of Thanksgiving, because they didn't just have one Thanksgiving. That's what they lied to you about. It wasn't just one Thanksgiving. It was several Thanksgiving. And then it was declared by Abraham. I don't know if we're going to get several.
We're going to go through a few. You're going to see that there was more than one, definitely. Also, with the blood, they not just were they killing the Native American Indians with the sword, sometimes they would entrap them and burn down their village. And Native and even the warriors of the village, they seeing that they're surrounding the village with fire, so they can either die by the fire or run from the fire, and then just to get shot, they decided to just stay in the fire. And we're going to read in the book, Lost Tribes and Promised Lands, that when they would burn these villages, what remained from these villages wasn't just burnt bodies, but when all those bodies would burn, they would eventually start to bleed. So there was lakes of blood. It was blood running everywhere from all the bodies burning inside of the village. It was a bloodbath, even with the burning. So don't just think of a bloodbath being cats getting shot or cut with swords. It was also burning people, which in the amount, so many people together that their blood would stream out of the village from where they were on fire at. This is the history that revolves around Thanksgiving, and then they would always have these feasts of things. They would give thanks. They would give thanks for their exploits, their survival that came off of the destruction that they brought to other people, the genocide they brought to other people. These are all the things that they're celebrating in their Thanksgiving. So it's really not an innocent thing of just giving thanks for God blessing them with food and health. No, they raped, robbed, slaughtered, and pillaged for all these things.
On top of that, these people were so cowardice. I was watching the video earlier this week. I don't know if any of you brothers had a chance to watch it. I did post it in the group. I thought I did anyway. And there was an interview of the Massasoit Indians. And they were celebrating one of their first Thanksgiving, and the Massasoit Indians happened to take notice of them celebrating the feast by themselves of Thanksgiving. And what they were doing to grab the so-called Massasoit Indians' attention, they had just started firing cannonballs into their village. So the Native Americans didn't just come to meet up with them to have a feast. They was coming to see what was going on, because these settlers who they just showed how to live off the ground, forage for food, and farm the land had the nerve to fire cannonballs into their village. Yeah, I mean, this is some cowardice act right here. And then we had the nerve too to follow behind this and celebrate it.
Mm-hmm. Time. So moving on from there, I wrote down a little bit in the article. So that's the food. That's dealing with the food, how it represents, your slaughtered ancestors, the food that's stretched out on the table that we love to eat, that we just chicken, tomatoes, grams, hams. This all represents the death and destruction of your ancestors. Moving on, the point you made, it wasn't just one Thanksgiving. They're about to show us that there were all through history. They had different Thanksgiving feasts, and all these feasts came at the end of a sword of conquering your ancestors. Days of Thanksgiving. You can read from the top. We'll read down a little bit. Right up here. Days of Thanksgiving.
Days of Thanksgiving, that is days set aside to give thanks to God, have been common in Christendom for hundreds of years and long predate the European colonization of North America. Documented Thanksgiving services and what is currently the United States were conducted as early as the 16th century by Spaniards and the French. These days of Thanksgiving were celebrated through the church services and feasting. Historian Michael Gannon claims St. Augustine, Florida was founded with a shared Thanksgiving meal on September 8th of 1565.
So Florida, who was in Florida? That's where your Seminole Indians were. So they were having the feast of Thanksgiving in Florida, celebrating their destruction and conquering of the Seminole Indians. See that? 1565? Yeah, that's right around the time, because remember, they hit the southern, like Florida and the Caribbean first, the 1400s, into the 1400s. So they have been warring with the Seminoles throughout the 1500s. And then they finally started to get some victories and something for them to be proud of around the 1560s. So that's here comes into play the first Thanksgiving that revolved around St. Augustine, Florida, and their conquering of the Seminoles in that area at that time. If you read the book Black Indians, it'll go into detail of the wars with the Seminoles and the Europeans here in America back in the 1500s and up. Con? Go ahead, keep reading.
Thanksgiving services were routine in what became the Commonwealth of Virginia as early as 1607. Mm-hmm. The first permanent settlement of Jamestown, Virginia, held a Thanksgiving in 1610. On December 4th, 1619.
Hold on. 16 what?
1619.
Who knows what the year 1619 is famous for? Slaves in the Virginia colonies. The first slaves into the Virginia colonies in 1619. And slavery. Enslaved.
They weren't slaves. They were enslaved.
Explain.
When we call them slaves, that could be an identity.
Yeah.
But to say that they were enslaved, that shows you that there was a condition put on them by a predator.
Okay. So yes, the first enslaved Negroes coming into Virginia colonies in 1619. It's also a teaching that we have that slavery for Negroes, quote unquote African Americans, blacks, whichever byword you want to use, started in 1619. Part of this lesson, and even we dealt with before, actually, so-called Negroes, African Americans were already in slavery and being brought over here. Just they were being mainly brought into the what? You don't know. Caribbean islands.
Oh, yeah.
The West Indies. So go ahead, continue reading. So this is around the same time as that they were conquering Native American Indians, putting them into slavery, and also trading them with the African American slaves that they also had in slavery. And like the brother said, in the condition of being enslaved. Go ahead.
English settlers celebrated a Thanksgiving immediately upon landing on Berkeley 100. Charles City, the group's London company charter specifically required the day of our ship's arrival at the place assigned for plantation in the land of Virginia.
So this was also a celebration of we got this land conquered now, and we have a place to start an economic system off the backs of your ancestors in slavery. The plantations of Virginia. This was celebrated with a Thanksgiving feast. You're reading it right here on Wikipedia. The history of Thanksgiving in Virginia. They're not saying it, but you just got to put the information together that you already had. 1619. That's the year that the so quote unquote slavery started in Virginia colonies. And we're seeing also that was a time that they held a Thanksgiving feast in commemoration of all their exploits of destroying your ancestors. Go ahead. place assigned plantation.
That the day of our ship's arrival at the place assigned for plantation in the land of Virginia shall be yearly and perpetually kept holy as a day of thanksgiving to Almighty God. This celebration has since the mid-20th century been commemorated there annually at present-day Berkeley Plantation, the ancestral home of the Harrison family in Virginia. This early commemoration.
Also, the Harris family, these slave owners, two of their sons became United States presidents.
This early commemoration created the groundwork for what would later become a national custom emphasizing the immigrants' strong religious faith and thankfulness for their survival in the New World.
See how they put it? Their survival in the New World. What did that survival come off of? Using the Native American Indians and slaughtering, enslaving the Native American Indians and also the so-called Negroes, African Americans. Go ahead.
Thanksgiving has developed from a local event in Virginia to a more generally known holiday across the United States.
So this is why it's not just the Native Americans, so-called blacks, that's been brought here to the Americans celebrating this holiday, thinking it's just a day to get together and thinking that it's really just commemorating other people's. That blacks here in America, us African Americans, we don't feel like it is really something that affected us. But like the saying goes, you want to hide something, put it in a book, or nowadays even put it on Wikipedia. Negroes only want to check Facebook. Negroes only want to scroll to find women on Instagram or Twitter or something that has no benefit to their character or knowledge of who they are, right? You actually look into the history and you see, yeah, this affected us too.
Absolutely. Can I read something from this article
directly? Go ahead.
This is called the American Underground Aborigine. And it reads, Virginia passed two acts in November of 1682 that joined Native Americans and African Americans into one racial category.
We actually got that. Hold up. That's coming up.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But no, that's a good point, though. I got a whole article. What were you reading? But we can read that.
That's all. I was just going there. And it says, and it categorized them into Negro slaves.
So we're going to bring that out again here a little bit later.
Okay.
We're going into that too. But yeah, this directly affected the so-called Negro African American. It was brought here and put here in slavery in the 1619s and before. Y'all understand? So this is what's being celebrated come Thursday. Black Friday, we're not going to delve too much. The same, we know, right? And also going against God, going against his laws, statutes, commandments, anything that is actually holy. That's what America is about. So read on. That was Virginia. Now they're going to give you a little history on the New England area.
Harvest Festival observed by the Pilgrims at Plymouth. Plymouth colonists, today known as Pilgrims, pirates, had settled in a part of the eastern Massachusetts, formerly occupied by the Patuxent Indians, who had died in a devastating epidemic between 1614 and 1620. Does anybody know what possibly was this epidemic? Excuse me? Speak up. Smallpox. Yeah, because the people who had came and colonized, which was these so-called pirates who we call pilgrims, had given them smallpox blankets. After the harsh winter of 1620 and 1621, it killed half of the Plymouth colonists, two native intermediaries, Samoset, Tisquantum, more commonly known by the diminutive variant Squanto, and the last living member of the Pawtuxet, came in at the request of Massasoit men with Europeans, though both trade Samoset
Through both trades.
Samoset, and a period enslavement Squanto. Massasoit had hoped to establish a mutual protection alliance between the Wampanoag themselves, greatly weakened by the same plague that extirpated the Pawtuxet and the better armed English in their long-running rivalry with the Narragansett, who had largely been spared from the epidemic. The Wampanoag reasoned that given that the Pilgrims had brought women and children, they had now arrived to wage war against them. Squanto taught the Pilgrims how to catch, eat, until he too succumbed to disease.
It was good.
Having brought in a good harvest, the Pilgrims celebrated plantation vice president of research stated in 1996 the event occurred between September 21st and November 11th, 1621, with the most likely time 9th, the traditional time. 17th century accounts do not identify this as a day of Thanksgiving, but rather as a harvest celebration. Through the common misconception that the Wampanoag were invited for their help in teaching the Pilgrims their agricultural techniques. Part of the harvest celebration involved a demonstration of arms by the colonists, and the Wampanoag, having entered into a mutual protection agreement with the were welcome to join the celebration, as their farming and hunting techniques had produced much of the bounty for the Pilgrims and contributed to their own food to the meal. Most modern imaginings of the celebration promote the idea that every party involved ate solely turkey. While the celebrants might well have feasted on wild turkey, the local diet also included fish, eels, shellfish, and Wampanoag dish called nasa-ump, which the Pilgrims had adopted, boiled cornmeal mixed with vegetables and meat. There were no potatoes, an indigenous South American food not yet introduced into the global food system, and no pies because there was no butter, wheat flour, or sugar.
All right, we can drop it from there. But yeah, so this is the history that they do tell you. This is the history of Thanksgiving. You can find on Wikipedia. As you see, it was multiple Thanksgivings, all of those in commemoration of places where the Europeans had conquered the lands and people and survived through that conquering. From there, we're going to go to a video on the truth of Thanksgiving. But before we do, this is the image that the brother was talking about of how the native Indians of that area, New England, would wear their headdresses. It looks like the back of the turkey. What's that part of the turkey?
Turkey tail.
Turkey tail. Their headdresses were similar to the turkey tail. This was the way they dressed in war, and probably just all around. It's probably a regular headdress for them.
And they not the color of no $5 Indians neither.
Yeah, as you see in the image, these are brown, copper colored people. But we're through some of the things we bring out today, we're actually gonna see how the image of the Native American changed into solely this light colored people with straight hair. And that's it. That's all you think of. Because there's a reason for that. They did that through their craft and some of their policies, which we're going to delve into in a little bit. You kind of started to bring out one of them being changing the dark Native Americans and labeling them as what? As blacks.
God.
Our next video is video 1 of the truth of Thanksgiving. We're going to play this little video on the truth of Thanksgiving.
Fair use.
Yeah.
This video is being played for educational purposes.
It is. Mm-hmm.
When I think of Thanksgiving, what comes to mind is not thankfulness or a big turkey. What I think of is far more important and serious. Every year at the end of November, families all across the United States celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday. This occasion has evolved into a time of expressing gratitude and sharing a bountiful meal with family. Relatives have awkward conversations while a huge turkey is scarfed down around the table. When I was in grade school, my history books depicted the first Thanksgiving meal as a peaceful gathering between white European settlers and Native American people. But there is a lesser-known truth behind this narrative. This Thanksgiving origin story that I was taught in school was a revisionist and whitewashed version of what actually happened. Following the arrival of Christopher Columbus on the shores of America in 1492, a steady stream of white European families traveled across the Atlantic Ocean to settle in this new territory. At first, they were ill-equipped to handle the harsh realities of its wilderness and climate, but indigenous tribes fed them and taught them how to grow corn and other crops to live on the land. Then, everything took a turn for the worse. This is where the revisionist whitewashing in this story happens, because it was not a peaceful coexistence between Native American tribes and white colonial settlers. Empowered by their religious beliefs and a racist disdain for the indigenous tribes, white European settlers murdered and stole people from the indigenous communities who had been thriving on this land. For thousands of years and multiple generations. These colonial settlers destroyed indigenous cultures by eradicating them, and even sold captive tribal members off to slavery. This brutal and racist genocide continued throughout the expansion of the United States westward to the Pacific Ocean. 5-term governor of Plymouth Colony, William Bradford, described Native Americans as savage people who are cruel, barbarous, and most treacherous.
Pause.
What was it?
Pause.
The settlers were
How you gonna call somebody barbarous and treacherous and cruel that just showed you how to farm the land, damn, taught you how to cook the food, to forage for whatever animals that you hunt there, and took you in and showed you how to stay warm during the season of the winter? You gonna call them savage and cruel? How you gonna do that? Like, you can't make this stuff up. Go ahead, man.
Mhm.
Disempowering indigenous people. Thanksgiving has been whitewashed as a symbol of planned gratitude expressed by the white European settlers toward native tribes. This revisionist history only serves to silence the stories and voices of the millions of indigenous people who were slaughtered under a heartless and cruel colonialist agenda. Since 1970, the United American Indians of New England have carried out a National Day of Mourning during the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday. This is what they have to say about it. Thanksgiving Day is a reminder of the genocide of millions of Native people, the theft of Native lands, and the relentless assaults on Native culture. Participants in National Day of Mourning honor Native ancestors and the struggles of Native people to survive today. It is a day of remembrance and spiritual connection, as well as a protest of the racism and oppression which Native Americans continue to experience. As you enjoy your turkey over Thanksgiving, you have the power to acknowledge the impossibly sad and deeper truth behind the occasion. Talk about it and share this truth, or perhaps do not even celebrate the holiday at all. People often say that ignorance is bliss. I would take this a step further and say that ignorance is a complete lack of compassion. We need more compassion. Compassion toward the indigenous survivors who continue to face this oppression. Within our hearts and minds, we need compassion that honors the lives and dignity of the millions of murdered indigenous people of America.
God, that was the first video. So, why are we celebrating these holidays? You got to ask yourself that.
I got precept.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you got it already.
Where are you going?
I'm going to the Book of Nahum, chapter 3, 1 through 5.
Bring it out.
This is the Book of Nahum, chapter 3, 1 through 5. Woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. The noise of the whip and the noise of the rattling of the wheels, and of the prancing horses, and of the jumping chariots. The horsemen lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear. And there is a multitude of slain, and a great number of carcasses, and there is none end of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that settleth the nations through her whoredoms, and families through her witchcrafts. Behold, I am against thee, saith Yahweh of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and kingdoms thy shame. And as you see, like, they just telling you a whole bunch of lies about their so-called holiday. And they just went through and they killed Native American brothers, and then they tried to cover it up, and then they tried to make it seem like they are the good guys and like they went through something. And they had a nerve to call our Native American brothers savages and people who were cruel and people who were disheartened, but you came and you approached and encroached on their land, and they showed you how to get by and survive. And you have a nerve to tell these lies, which is witchcraft, which you're putting forth, and lying about a spectacle of what you said Thanksgiving is, but it really isn't.
Con.
Go ahead, Sister Penny.
Isn't that what they do with the Whiteness does with every place they want to conquer?
Absolutely.
They go in and say that they're savages. Right?
Absolutely.
To give them a reason to go in and rape and pillage and change everything, and then they come back and change the narrative about what they did.
Absolutely. We just saw in the news, it was a Sister Hani Roiti. I can't remember how to say her last name, but they was in New Zealand. And they was trying to say that people were savages and that they had put forth a treaty that just benefited the native Maori people in New Zealand. You know what I mean? And they were trying to put a bill forth which would give the native people rights to their practices of the land. And they were trying to say it wasn't equal footing. But how you going to have equal footing on a land where other people were and come in as a British colonizer and say you deserve equal footing on their land? Yeah, they actually did it with Hawaii too. I actually had sent the brother Gamaria videos on that too, just to show that they were colonizing around the land. I don't know if he had a chance to review it this week, but I thought it fit well into this too, to show that they wasn't just doing it here; they did it around the world. Go ahead.
This is Ecclesiasticus 12:16-18. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but he will find an opportunity. He will not be satisfied with blood. If adversity comes upon thee, thou shalt find that he is first. And though he pretendeth to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. He will shake his head and clap his hands, and much change of his countenance. The scripture tells us never to trust thy enemy.
That's right. You definitely can't trust this enemy.
And he's always come with his missionaries in peace.
Con.
But the intent was war.
Con. It was another video just to lay me back up with what you were saying. I was watching this week too, and it was showed that it was this indigenous country in the South Pacific. They were black people, and they told them, "Look, don't even come over here." And then this guy, he decided he still was going to come to the island after they told him, "Look, don't come over here." And he came trying to teach Christianity, and he stepped on the island, and they killed him. And not only did they kill him, but they killed him bad. They riddled him as soon as he stepped foot on the sand. They riddled him with arrows. Like, dude had like around 50 to 60 arrows sticking out of him because they told him, "Look, we know who you are. We know what you're about. Don't come over here." And that's what they did. And they meant that. Don't come over here. We know what you're about. We didn't see what you did to the other islands. Don't come over here. And they riddled him with arrows.
And they took and disregarded the Indian government, because the Indian government made a proclamation to let those indigenous people remain indigenous and do not contaminate them with any form of contact.
You saw it too. Yeah, I was like, wow.
But he comes in peace. Right?
Yeah. But you wasn't coming in peace. You trying to take away their customs. They trying to bring your philosophies. And your philosophies don't work for us. They don't work for the other people around the world either. Because you got an embassy everywhere around the world where you're trying to take over. And you come in with treaties and all type of stuff. You know what I mean? So you trying to bring your way of life in, thanking the Most High that you're able to colonize and exploit people for their minerals and jewels and whatever substance they have in their land. Because it's probably something on those islands that they want. Really, because why you want to go there anyway? And they did the same thing, like just to land me back off what we did last week. We showed that they came with the conquistadors, then they came with the friars, and the friars came with the religions. And when they didn't want to accept the religion, guess what they did? They started slaughtering them. Go ahead.
God, that was it for that. That was it?
Come on.
Yeah, okay, God. From there, first precept I had, let's go to Book of Proverbs, chapter 3. Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 31.
Yeah, could one of y'all read that, please? 31 to 35, and please read it loud like a lion.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 31.
Bring it out.
Envy thou not the oppressor.
No. Do just like the oppressor.
Envy thou not the oppressor, and chose none of his ways.
No, choose to be just like him.
And choose none of his ways.
Okay.
So let's talk about that. What are his ways? One, what we're talking about. Thanksgiving. Keeping Thanksgiving. Having family get-togethers on Thanksgiving. Cooking the turkey. Cooking the stuffing. Cooking the cranberry sauce. Having the turkey bowl. You know, some people, they get the family together on Thursday morning while grandma and aunties cook, and they have the turkey bowl out in the backyard. Celebrating Christmas and New Year's and Valentine's Day and even Kwanzaa and foolishness. That's what the oppressor celebrates. That's part of his ways. It says not to envy him, not to choose any of his ways. Don't save up your money for Black Friday. Wait for the Black Friday deals. Treat this like it don't even exist. Thanksgiving comes, I ain't got to work. Guess what I'm having? Regular food that I would cook on a Saturday night. Maybe grill some chicken, maybe grill some steak. Regular day, just a day off. You're not having no turkey.
Eat some spaghetti.
Eat whatever you want, but don't eat the Thanksgiving meal. Eat cheesesteaks if you want. Fast if you want. You can fast. You can fast in memories of the atrocities that happened. That this holiday day is all about.
Something bitter and protest.
You can eat something bitter and protest. You do whatever you want to do. Don't follow his ways. Just a regular. It's what's the date this week? The 29th.
Man, I don't even be remembering.
Whatever Thursday is.
28th.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I don't even be remembering none of their holidays until I go to the store.
Thursday the 28th comes. It's just that. Thursday, November 28th. The hell with this holiday, this folly day, celebration of destruction of the people. The scripture says it plain: choose none of his ways.
No.
Saturnalia. It's now Christmas. Choose none of his ways. We should have been staying away from Bacchus back then. Choose rather to die than to celebrate Bacchus and eat the swine.
No Caribbean Carnival, none of that. West Indian Festival, none of that, because they come from the Feast of Bacchus. None of that. We ain't doing none of that.
This holiday leads him to his flag and the thing of national nobility, but it leads you to the graveyard while you're looking over gravestones and bones of your people. Same that.
Yeah, because they were hanging us and giving us the sacrifices and all that stuff too. Absolutely. And if people don't know where it come from, don't do no research on none of it. Do no research. You know what I mean? It even says that they were celebrating the Harvest Fest before Thanksgiving, so that lets you know they was giving it up to something else besides the God of the Bible, besides the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yeah, they were giving the Harvest Feast. They were already doing this before they got here. They just decided to do it in New England, and then they encroached on the land.
And guess what their idolatrous Harvest Fest is? They're taking Feast of Tabernacles, what's it also called? Ingathering. And they're, as they always do, turning the truth of God into a lie. So they took, the Bible has a Feast of Ingathering. Well, we're going to celebrate our pagan deities and have a harvest festival.
Yep, and we're going to call it cornucopia, and we're going to give it up to Sariella. Because that's what they called it in the European countries. They called it Sariellas. You know what I mean? And we're going to celebrate cornucopia. And then, if I remember in school, they were showing it to you subliminally anyway. When Thanksgiving and the fall come around, they would have a cornucopia with fruit on the table in school. And they was tricking you into celebrating cornucopia and calling it Thanksgiving and telling you that the Native Americans and the Pilgrims sat down and had a meal, which was a flat out lie. So they was showing you they were celebrating cornucopia and we was in our ignorance.
Read verse 32.
Come on.
Keep going.
Verse 32. For the forward is a
The froward.
the forward
You said forward.
Froward.
is abomination to the Lord.
And let me tell you something. This froward, a froward mind state it's just we know what it's about, but it's the only time we got for family. Everybody's off. This is the best day of the year for us to get together as a family, which is a lie. Because as soon as grandma turns 80 or so-and-so has a 40th anniversary, it's not a problem for family to get together for that regular old Saturday. It's not a problem for family to come in for different events when it's convenient and it's something that our people want to celebrate. So the same with Thanksgiving. No, it's you want to celebrate this holiday. It ain't got nothing to do with it being a good time for us to meet up and come together, because first and foremost, you have a Saturday every single week. Secondly, you can't even use it's a 4-day weekend. No, because notice, I know everybody remembers, most of the people that came in for Thanksgiving was gone the next day. They took the rest of those days off back at home. People come for that Thursday. They don't spend the whole weekend. Oh, it's a good 4 days for me to get together with my family that I ain't seen all year. No, most of them come for that day, eat the food, and then they're out and they spend the rest of their days off back in whatever home state they going to.
Can I read?
That's a froward mind, making up BS to justify you knowing damn well that this holiday is celebrating wickedness.
Can I read the definition of and the synonyms for froward? The word froward is an objective. It means to be habitually disposed to disobedience and opposition.
Damn.
So you standing in disobedience and opposition to the laws of the Most High God, when you probably have already heard the truth, but you decide, oh, we gonna do it for the family.
Mm-hmm.
But you're gonna stand in opposition, disobedience, and opposition, being disposed habitually and not keeping the Most High's law.
Or it's for the kids. The costume, they like to dress up in costumes.
Play dress up another day.
Yeah, they like to have the turkey bowl on Thanksgiving. They like to open gifts and go sit on a white man, bearded man's lap.
Nah,
It's fun. It's for the kids.
old man in a drunk
Over.
pedophile in the Santa Claus outfit. Like kids a little bit more than he should. You know what I mean?
Facts.
And these holidays are ceremonial. God of Israel with other gods,
Mhm.
so
Come.
spiritual in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Come.
Do it to bring the children of Israel and have them take that blood on their hands, because those days required a sacrifice. So here we are, like you said, forwarding that same behavior as our forefathers by the edge of the sword, engaging in that type of ceremony. We're forced today because of his craftiness.
Mhm.
Come. These are the synonyms for froward: headstrong, self-willed, willful, disobedient, and not obeying or complying with commands of those which are in authority. Who's in authority?
The Bible.
The Bible is the authority. So you're not complying which is in authority. And we read it right here. It says, envy thou not the oppressor and choose none of his ways.
Well, I'm not oppressed.
You're not
I
oppressed.
got a job.
When the police have not been killing us?
That's
When have
them.
we not been
They
last
don't-
hired and first
They
fired?
don't bother me. I do good at my job.
Okay? Till little Susie get picked for a promotion over what you thought you should have got.
Boss likes me. He's promoting me.
Uh-huh.
He gave me 3 promotions last week.
But like you said, it's rooted in idolatry.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not worship any other god.
that's right.
So
Go ahead, good brother.
now the next word, it's almost like it's double down on forward, abomination, because abomination is another word for sin or breaking God's law.
It means more than that. Let's get that definition.
Abomination is like, it's abominable. It's disgraceful.
Yeah.
it's disgusting.
Oh, let me read it. The noun abomination means a thing of action that is vile, vicious, or terrible. For example, if you see a neighbor kick an old blind dog that's done nothing wrong, you might remark that kind of cruelty is abomination. Abomination, the definition is hate coupled with disgust. So you hate the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments coupled with disgust. So you got forward abomination.
And
You doing what's in opposition to the Most High, coupled with disgust.
well,
and
and
hate.
it's saying also, and the Most High is now you're an abomination to him because you are of that forward mind and those actions. Now the Most High is looking at you like you're the disgusting thing. You're the abomination.
Yeah, see, a lot of people look at the word abomination as just like shrug it off as it's the word abomination. God just don't like something.
They just shrug it off.
Like you say, hate the laws, statutes, commandments, and also breaking them.
It has two more definitions. The second definition is a person who is loathsome or disgusting. So by you breaking the Most High's laws, you going into keeping these so-called holy holidays, the so-called enemy, you have made yourself disgusting. The third definition is an action that is vicious or vile, an action that arouses disgust or abhorrence. So you're making the Most High hate you by keeping these so-called holy days of our oppressors, because he already told you, invite thou not the oppressor and choose none of his ways. He also already told you, thou shalt put no other God before thee. You putting Sariella before the Most High God and celebrating the slaughter of your Native American brothers and sisters.
It's a lot.
Go ahead.
Daniel 8:25.
Hold on, he's going to try to pull it.
Let me get me a mouse. Does a mouse hook up to this car?
Yeah, they plug it into
Let me
this.
get a mouse. Go ahead.
And through his policies also he shall cause craft to prosper. The craft is the ignorance of who we are and how these holidays came about. So to forward that, like we said earlier, using that word forward, to keep that thing going forward, to bring that spirit upon the children of Israel. In his hands he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. And these are what he was doing to our Muslim tribe brothers and sisters. Right? He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hands. The Most High is coming to deal with that.
He's standing up against his word. And our people are forward in that they listen, once we understand that we shouldn't be delving into these things and giving ourselves to them, what do? Make excuses for it. Don't want to turn from it. Oh, that's the past. Well, now things are different. No. First off, all this past that we've had from here even to Jerusalem, that's the same day with the Most High. So ain't no past. This is happening.
Yep, because the day to the Lord is 1,000 years, and we ain't even past that 1,000-year period yet.
It's a lot. The Most High talks about there will be a time in which we will rethink ourselves. And these brothers at these camps of the Hebrew, so-called Black Hebrew Israelites, that we're bringing that knowledge back to them. And in the rethinking, they're getting the information, and those that will rebel against it, those are the people who are in the abomination.
Those are the forward. Yeah.
That's predominantly the Christian church. Because they're taking this information as if we're fools, and we're wrong to do so.
Yeah.
Not just them, the Muslims too. Because we so caught up in Islam, we're not realizing that you caught up in the slave master's religion too, because they sold us into slavery too. You know what I mean? So you making yourself forward abominable. Oh, I'm Muslim. No, you're not Muslim. You are Hebrew Israelite. Thus saith the Lord, you are the chosen people. What is so hard about you hearing that you're the chosen people and the Most High gave you things that were set apart just for you? Practical just for you, a special diet just for you, holy days special and just for you, just for you.
But there's very little resistance to accept the fact that you're a nigger, you're a hoodlum, you're a drug dealer,
Yeah.
you're a thief. Now we can accept that.
Con.
But don't tell me that I'm the child of the most
Con, because it's folly to us to do mischief.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's a sport.
Con. That's what psychology.
What's that? Wise to do evil?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jeremiah 2, right?
Con.
Let's get that real quick. Because this is part of the problem. Think about, we post these videos live. We post them on Facebook. We post it on YouTube. Think how many people just scroll past just because they see the title.
It's
No
Jeremiah
thanks,
4:22.
no giving. I know what this video is about to be. I know what this video is about to be about. It's going to be talking about how I shouldn't be going to dinner on Thursday. Let me keep
That's about
scrolling.
more than that.
Let me
yeah.
keep scrolling.
But you don't realize it.
Let me keep scrolling. I don't, whatever it is, I don't want to know. I know it's going to get me out of what I'm comfortable with. I don't want that.
What's that receipt?
It's 422.
Yeah.
You
Go
got
ahead, Ezekiel.
somebody
Read
got
that, please. Jeremiah 4:22.
The book of Jeremiah.
Read it loud.
Read 21.
And read it loud.
Start 21.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 4.
They can't hear you back there.
Yeah, you got to raise your voice a
Read
little bit.
it loud.
It's chapter 4, verse
4:22.
21.
Oh, okay.
21.
Start at 21. Go ahead.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 4, verse 21.
I'll read.
How long
How
shall I see the standard and hear the sound of the trumpet?
How long are people going to keep receiving warnings?
Yep.
We're sounding the trumpet when
Not
we do
only
these
that,
classes. When we
But
go
the
on the street.
standard,
Go
the
ahead.
standard on how things should be and righteous according to thus saith the Lord. That's how we sound in the trumpet. You are getting the warning. Come on.
For my people is foolish.
They're what?
For my people is foolish.
No, they smart because they getting the gathering with their family that they ain't seen in months.
They had not known me.
They have what?
They had not known me. They are sottish children.
Sadish, hold on real quick. Yeah. What's that mean? I'm going to look it up.
Good as hell.
What's sadish mean? What's sadish mean?
Let's get that definition.
It
Yeah.
says sadish means resembling or being drunken, dotish, or stupid. You see that? My God said my children are stupid. Our people are stupid. So it's no wonder you give them warning. You can really break shit down point by point. You can show them the how wrong this is, that is, how unprofitable it is for them. But they ain't gonna get it. Because Yahweh said that they're stupid. My children are stupid. They're foolish and stupid.
Go ahead, read.
And they have none understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge.
Ain't we wise to do evil? We come up with a million ways to get them drugs sold, won't we? We'll come up with a million different ways to run a whole neighborhood, have a whole advanced system of selling heroin.
A network.
We can even tell you how to. We can tell you how to go out and kill a nigga and get away with it. Listen, go get you these gloves, get you some lime or whatever. Go get this, that. Listen, once you do the thing, listen, make sure you stole it. Make sure you get a crackhead to steal the car. Give it to you. You drive. Then all types. We can teach you all types of evil.
We can. I even set up like just to lay back what you're saying, and I tell my son about the stupid shit I used to do. I'll let him know about it. Yeah, I mean, so he don't get involved with it, so he see the folly in it. Yeah, I mean, and he see where it can lead and the stuff that you have to avoid and the stuff that you go through when you live that type of life, when you try to live like that. We're Sodom's children.
I beheld the earth.
No, that's good. Drop that. Let's go back. Finish. Keep reading where you were at. So we're on Proverbs chapter 3, verse 32 still. Read down. Should have held that in place. Chapter 3, verse 32.
the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 32.
Come on.
For the forward is abomination to the Lord,
Mhm.
but his secret is with the righteous.
Go ahead.
The curse of Yahweh is in the house of the wicked,
Uh-huh.
but he blessed the habitation of the just.
Go ahead.
Surely he scorneth
Uh-huh.
the scorners,
Read.
but he giveth grace to the lowly.
Uh-huh.
The
He
wise shall,
giveth grace to the lowly.
the wise
He
shall
giveth grace to those that see something's wrong, realize they shouldn't be doing it, and they stop doing it. The opposite is the prideful. That's those that hear the sound of the trumpet, hear the warning, and say, "No, I'm gonna keep doing that anyway. I like stuffing. I like Thanksgiving turkey. I like the gathering. I like the football games. I'm not giving it up. I'm not giving it up because I have grace." Rewind. Hold up. It says the grace is for the lowly. Just because you decide you believe in a white Jesus does not mean you have grace to be prideful and continue in the same vanities that you've been taught by the people that are celebrating your death and captivity and oppression. So the grace is for the lowly that are humble and can change their ways. Admit when they've been taught wrong and do better. That's who the grace is for. Keep going.
The wise shall inherit glory.
The wise who are humble, and they're wise because they what? They repent. When they find something is wrong, they find the right way, they go with the right way. Meaning they go with God's way. So the wise shall inherit glory.
But shame shall be promotion of fools.
And our people, this is why our people are still in a shameful condition. Still, their actions are shameful. And it's like a disease. But what's the glory? What's the glory? Jeremiah 9:23 to 24. If you got it, yeah. If you got it, bring it out. Bring it out with a man voice. Bring it out with that man voice.
23.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 9, verse 23.
Come on, louder, please.
Thus saith the Lord, let not the wise man glory in his name, and in his wisdom. Neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches. But let him that glory in this, that he understandeth and knoweth me.
That he what?
That he understandeth and knoweth.
So if you're in this class today, watching online or here, or watching somebody else's class today online or in their class, it's because the Most High has brought you in, and now He's giving you the glory of understanding and knowing Him. Go ahead.
That he understandeth and knoweth me, that I am the Lord, which exercise loving kindness, judgment, and
judgment. That's the key thing. We understand that all these things happened in the past as what? Judgment. The Most High has given you the understanding that the reason that you're in this condition today and the reason things happened in the past was a judgment. You have the understanding for why that judgment came. You have the understanding of how to get that, what did he say first? Loving kindness. How to come out of these judgments. The Most High has woke you up and given you this understanding to know Him and know that everything is of His hand. Go ahead.
That I am the Lord, which exercise loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, saith the Lord.
So you know what Yahweh delights in. The announcements we go through every week, you know that He delights in these feast days. You know that these other so-called feast days, holidays, are really folly days and vanities. Thanksgiving in accordance with righteousness. You can find that in the written word. You can find Thanksgiving in the Bible. Psalms 50 and 14 and down. Thanksgiving that's in accordance with righteousness.
The book of Psalms, chapter 50, verse 14 through 19. Offer unto Yahweh thanksgiving and pay thy vows unto the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
The vows is that you would keep his holy days that are found in Leviticus 23. That you would keep his laws, statutes, and commandments according to scriptures. That you will love your brother like you love yourself.
That's right.
That you will love the Most High with all your heart. And doing this, you are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments.
You'll love truth over lies and vanity.
And you will judge righteous judgment according to scriptures amongst your brethren. And verse 15, and call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. But unto the wicked Yahweh said, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? Or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth?
All these Thanksgiving, all these pilgrims, all these Europeans, when did they take and declare his statutes? When did they take his covenant into their mouth? But their history, the Wikipedias will say these Thanksgiving feasts were thanks to God. But when was you even of God? You was just the sword sent out from God. But you never declared his statutes. That's why even the sword eventually gets destroyed once it's done its job. Go ahead, keep going.
But unto the wicked God saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Since thou hatest destruction and castest my word behind thee. When thou sawest the thief, then thou contendest with him, and hast been a partaker with adulterers. Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit.
So there's no Thanksgiving without keeping the Most High's laws, statutes, commandments. It's not a Thanksgiving. You're not thankful to the Most High.
And just to land me back off of just what he read, these people came and they framed deceit with the Native Americans. For example, when they bought the island of Manhattan from them, they came in, they saw that their currency was blue beads. And what did they do? They counterfeited the blue bead in currency so that they could declare taking the land from them deceitfully.
Mm-hmm. All the black churches today, this preparing for Thanksgiving, going to be holding service on Thanksgiving. All are what? Adulterers. They are adulterers partaking with the wicked feast of Thanksgiving that has nothing to do with God or being thankful to God.
Engaging in witchcraft upon their people, as well as the practice of idolatry.
Witchcraft and idolatry. And with our people headed up by who? That wicked pastor that's learning from who? Esau at their theology schools, or their world church organizations.
Like Brother Yahya call them cemetery school.
Mm-hmm. So from there, it's Sirach 17.
Hold on, I got a preset.
All right.
This is the book, Zechariah chapter 11, verse 4, and we'll read on down.
Y'all got it?
I got start 17.
Okay, hold that.
Wait. Okay.
This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 11, verse 4, and it reads, Thus saith Yahweh my power, feed the flock of the slaughter, whose possessors slay them, and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. And their own shepherds pity them not. And our own shepherds, these pastors, are not teaching us that we celebrating anything crooked. They're not teaching us that we're doing anything wrong. They're not teaching you that you celebrate the slaughter of your brothers. And they saying, Blessed be the Lord. Yeah, I mean, and they're not holding themselves guilty of anything. They don't think it's a guilty thing to be coming in and slaughtering the Native Americans or selling them overseas to these foreign countries like Algeria, Portugal, Tangiers, Morocco, and Spain, Albania, or any of these other foreign countries. They don't think it's a bad thing to sell the so-called African American man from the point of no return and then sell them over here to the Caribbean countries and so on and so forth. They didn't think it was a bad thing to trade the Northern Kingdom for the Southern Kingdom as slaves and have the Atlantic slave trade going like that. They didn't think it was a bad thing to do that. They held themselves not guilty. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. And their own shepherds pity them not. For I will no more pity the inhabitants of the land, saith Yahweh. But lo, I will deliver the men, every one, into his neighbor's hand, and into the hand of his king. And they shall smite the land. And out of their hand I will not deliver them. And I will feed the flock of slaughter. Even you, O poor, O the flock. And I took unto me 2 staves, and one called beauty, and the other I called bands, and I fed the flock. And that's what the Most High is doing. Who want to hear right now? He feeding us with the knowledge of what's going on, the knowledge of truth. The knowledge is giving us an understanding of the folly that we in, and he's showing the deceitfulness of our oppressors. Con?
From there, we got that Sirach 17. Sirach 17:24. He left. You can read it.
You got it.
Yeah, 17:24 to 29.
The book of Sirach, chapter 17, verse 24.
Bring it up.
But unto them that repent, he granted them return and comforted those that failed in patience. Return unto the Lord and forsake thy sins. Make thy prayer before his face and offend less. Turn again to the Most High and turn away from iniquity. For he will lead thee out of darkness into the light of health, and hate the abomination
vehemently.
I mean, I hate Thanksgiving vehemently. We ain't supposed to love this holiday coming up. We're supposed to hate that this holiday is coming up. Keep going.
Who shall praise the Most High in the grave instead of them which live and give thanks?
And your ancestors was in the grave while your oppressor was celebrating their death, destruction, and slaughter and enslavement. This is the history of it. Go ahead.
Thanksgiving perisheth from the dead.
Our people are the walking dead today.
That's right.
Our people are walking dead, so there's nothing. This holiday ain't for you.
That's
Thanksgiving right. Perishes from the dead. Right now, we don't have nothing to be thankful for. To give Thanksgiving, we are the walking dead.
That's right.
Go ahead.
As from one that is not, the living and sound in the heart shall praise the Lord.
So that's when you give thanks. Now you can feast in Thanksgiving and not Thursday's Thanksgiving. Being brought back to the Lord, knowing the Lord, knowing the right holiday, knowing the holy days as opposed to folly days. Go ahead.
How great is the loving kindness of the Lord our God, and his compassion unto such as turn unto him in
holiness. And what is holiness? What's it mean to be holy? Separate.
Set apart. Yep.
Set apart. We got to set ourselves apart from the American folly days. Second Maccabees chapter 10, verse 35-38. An example of Thanksgiving that's for us. For the Israelites. Go ahead.
The book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 10, 35-38. Nevertheless, upon the 5th day, early 20 young men of Maccabeus company, inflamed with anger because of the blasphemies, assaulted the wall mainly, and with a fierce courage killed all that met withal.
So first and foremost, everybody here should know the story, but Judas Maccabeus and the Assyrians and his company, the Israelites at that time that were voluntarily devoted to the law, hated blasphemies and made war with the nations that were bringing us these blasphemous feast days and idolatrous festivals. Judas Maccabeus made war with these people. His company was inflamed with anger because of the blasphemies. And with fierce courage, they killed the oppressors during this time. Not just celebrated with them. Not just came together because it's a day off. Go ahead.
Others likewise ascending after them, whilst they were abused with them that were within, burnt the towers, and kindling fires burnt the blasphemers alive.
No, they celebrated with them.
They burnt the blasphemers alive.
Go ahead.
And others broke open the gates, and having received in rest of the army, took the city, and killed Timotheus that was hid in a certain pit, and Chaereas his brother with Apollonius, Aliphanes, Slacius.
Mm-hmm.
When this was done, they praised Yahweh with psalms and thanksgiving, whom had done so great things for Yasha'Allah, and given them the victory.
This is Thanksgiving for us to celebrate. The Most High giving us the victory. This is what Thanksgiving for us should be.
Sure.
Not celebrating the victory of the people that killed your ancestors and enslaved them and still got their foot on your neck today.
Huh.
From there, First Maccabees chapter 13, 43 to 52.
The book of First Maccabees chapter 13, 43 to 52. In those days, Simon camped against Gaza and besieged it around about. He made also an engine of war and set it by the city and battered a certain tower and took it. And they that were in the engine leaped into the city, whereupon there was a great uproar in the city, insomuch as the people of the city rent their clothes and climbed upon the walls with their wives and children and cried with a loud voice, beseeching Simon to grant them peace. And they said, deal not with us according to our wickedness, but according to thy mercy. So Simon was appeased toward them and fought no more against them, but put them out of the city and cleansed the houses wherein the idols were. And so entered into it with songs and thanksgiving.
So songs and thanksgiving. The thanksgiving came after what? Removing of the wickedness of the idols, the feast days, all the different customs of the heathen. Go ahead.
Yea, he put all uncleanness out of it, and placed such men there as would keep the law, and made it stronger than it was before, and built therein a dwelling place for himself. They also of the tower of Jerusalem were kept so straight that they could neither come forth nor go into the country, nor buy nor sell, wherefore they were in great distress for want of victuals, and great number of them perished through famine. Then cried they to Simon, beseeching him to be at one with them, which thing he granted them. And when he had put them out from thence, he cleansed the tower from pollutions, and entered into the 23rd day and the second month.
In the 23rd day of the second month. Go ahead.
Of the second month in the 171st year.
So for us, that would be roughly a month after what? Passover. Go ahead.
With thanksgiving and branches of palm trees, and with harps and cymbals and viols and hymns and songs, because there was destroyed a great enemy of Israel, who ordained also that day should be kept every year with gladness. Moreover, the hill of the temple that was by the tower he made stronger than it was, and there he dwelt himself with his company.
So we actually have a Thanksgiving, if you want to call it day, ordained in the scriptures. I believe it's called the Day of Simon. The Day of Simon. So if we want to have a Thanksgiving, why don't we celebrate this feast day then? Why don't we stop celebrating their conquering and thanks for conquering Israel, and celebrate when we had the enemy put out of Israel, and keep the Day of Simon?
That date right there.
This is Thanksgiving, a righteous Thanksgiving.
The Day of
We're
Simon.
celebrating the wicked Thanksgiving.
It's saying the first of the year.
The second, it's the 23rd is the second month of the year. So that's why it's roughly a month after Passover.
It's the month after a bid.
You're reading the first year. It's talking about the 171st year of the kingdom of the Greeks. This is when it was first established. The 171st year of the Greek kingdom. So, because remember, the Greek kingdom started before the Roman kingdom, but they do intertwine, right? So Maccabees gives you the year of the Greek kingdom. That's why it starts off with Alexander, right? And then it goes into the kings after him, and it always says like 121st year or 140 something year. It's the year of how long the Greeks were in had a ruling kingdom. So in their 171st year, this feast of Thanksgiving was established, the feast day assignment. So if we want to have a Thanksgiving feast to commemorate, that's one right there. We can keep the day assignment.
Should we put it on the next year's chart?
Yeah, I think we will. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I think we're definitely going to do that.
Slocky, I have
All right, I got a video, but you got a point. You can make it first.
yes, Lamentations 2:14-16, collaborating with.
All right, hold on.
Said earlier,
Lamentations 2.
14-16.
1 second. Okay.
Thy prophets have seen vain and foolish things for thee. This is the condition we're in because the churches have accepted these holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And they have not discovered thy iniquity. They haven't discovered the fact that the rooting of these holidays are based in violence against us and witchcraft,
Right.
and worshiping other gods. Have not discovered thy iniquity, to turn away thy captivity. And as long as we're caught up in the serving these other gods, worshiping and idol worship, we won't ever find a remedy for this because we're celebrating these things.
But right there.
This is 14.
That seed for these false burdens,
Yes.
causes banishment.
Yeah, Kalak, you can just look right there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and banishment. When we look at banishment, banishment is to be like cast out.
Mm-hmm.
You would cast somebody out for sedition.
Con.
Something in that line.
You wanted 15 too, didn't you?
All that passed by clapped their hands at thee, and they hissed and wagged their heads at the daughters of Jerusalem. So now it says that we become a byword and a proverb or a laughing stock to the nations.
Right.
All of these other nations that pass by us, many of them know who we are,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking at the deplorable condition that they put us in under Psalms 83.
Mm-hmm. Con.
Is this the city of men that's called perfection, of the beauty and the joy of the whole earth? Because that's what Israel was.
Mm-hmm. And they look at it, and it's a question. And they look at it like, these people, is this the people?
God.
This is God's people acting like this? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Following everything that we tell them that's opposite of what he gave them? Is this his people?
Remember the Scottish.
It's amazing.
They say, look what we did to them.
Yes. And it says that in 16. All thy enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They have hissed and gnashed their teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly, this is the day that we look for. We have found, we have seen, and we have found, we have seen.
Right. And this is what Thanksgiving is about. So that's a perfect precept. This is exactly what Thanksgiving is about. The day that they look for, and they found it, and they've seen it, and now they celebrate it. And now today we celebrate it with them.
More than the heathen.
More than the heathen. We celebrate more heathen. That's why I started off with that video. Yams, hams, greens, yeah.
And when we look at on a table of economics, they say that from the time period of Halloween through the New Year, that the corporations are in the red, but through that annual holidays,
Mhm.
they're able to come out of the red. This is when they become profitable.
Right.
And
This
these
is
are
the
these are the things where they spoil us during these days. Parents going into debt for the next 2 years, buying Christmas gifts, putting them on layaway, extending
Mhm.
credit, and all that. This is a
spending
perfect opportunity.
spending it net, already spending the tax return check. Like, you know what? I know I'm about in about 2 months. I'm about to get 3,000. So you know what? We got about 3,000 that we can run up these credit cards on. Man, we're gonna have a good Christmas for the kids this year. And look, you know, you're pregnant right now, so we better do it up for the 2 we got this year, because next year they're gonna have a little less. Let's make sure that they really have a good one this year before the new edition comes. Yeah, that's us. That's like the elder Zaquan. He got the book called The Holiday Hustle. He got the book called The Holiday Hustle. It's a good read too. And he goes into that, how we spend all this money on these holidays that are set up to get our money. They give us the money. They set up these holidays and different things for us to come and give it right back.
Keeping them in power still.
So this is video 2, Thanksgiving, the Truth for Thanksgiving, video 2. Kind of going into the same things. Message me.
I did.
Okay. Kind of going into the same exact thing, but it's just a different video. Yeah, hit skip. I'll try to enlarge this thing.
The first Thanksgiving, American schools generally teach a conventional story about the meeting of pilgrims and Indians that finished. It's an amazing dinner in the end, but there's more to the tale.
No, it was amazing ending at the end.
This video will explain the events around the first Thanksgiving and how it's not the ancient grain of tradition. At the start of the 17th century, southern New England was home to a variety of busy communities within several confederations. These were the people of the first light, and they called their home the Dawnland. Political leaders were known as Sachems and had been trading with Europeans for over 100 years before the Pilgrims. Relations soured only after deceitful Europeans kidnapped locals to sell as slaves. Permanent European settlement was impossible due to the already high population of native occupants. But in 1616, tradesmen introduced a disease to the Dawnland, whose inhabitants died in droves for the lack of immunity. 3 years, up to 90% were wiped out in several confederations, including the Wampanoag. Their head sachem, Massasoit, was aware how close they were investigated by their unafflicted enemy, the Navajones. He was determined to save his people from such fate. This was the world the Pilgrims were about to enter. The Pilgrims were not called Pilgrims by their contemporaries. They were known as Separatists, a branch of the English Puritans. King James hated Puritans and began persecuting them in 1604. So the Separatists fled to Holland, where they were free to worship. But because they feared losing their national and communal identity, the congregation wanted a new place to plant their church. They decided on America and asked King James for a patent that would grant them rights to build a colony. They planned to make a profit catching fish to pay off the debts to their investors. The Mayflower set sail on September 6th. 2 months later, Cape Cod was spotted, and 16 men were sent to shore to inspect the area. Fortunately, the settlers didn't know how to fish, and food was running out. They resorted to stealing from graves, homes, and storage pits to keep everyone alive. Then came their first.
You heard that, man? They was eating corpses to survive.
They did not land on any specific rock, but folklore insists they did. Construction began in January. By winter's end, 44 settlers were dead in bad condition. In March, they were surprised when a man named Somerset walked into the clinic, greeting them in English. He told them they were building on top of a village called Hackensack, whose residents had all died from the recent epidemic. It belonged to the Wampanoag, and their chief, Massasoit, was watching. The settlers were eager to trade, so 5 days later, Somerset returned with furs and companions, including Squanto. Known famously as Squanto, he had come to tell them in perfect English that Massasoit had arrived. After years of dealing with Englishmen, the Saxons did not trust the newcomers. Edward Winslow was sent to be a hostage and declared the settlers' peaceful intentions. Satisfied, Massasoit walked into New Plymouth and was regally greeted by the government. A peace treaty was created, ensuring mutual protection if attacked by enemies. With the help of Squanto, New Plymouth settlers began to fare better. He taught them how to grow crops and was absolutely vital as an interpreter. To the separatists, he was a gift from God. But in fact, Squanto had been kidnapped from Patuxet in 1614 and shipped to Spain to be sold into slavery. He ended up in London at the home
We read about that last week.
and arranged for Squanto's return to his own land in 1619. But Patuxet was now gone.
He went into slavery, came back able to speak the language. Now he was able to translate.
Suspicion because of his years abroad, but needed a translator to parlay with the newcomers. He eventually sent his warrior Pobamo to live among the settlers and keep an eye on Squanto. By fall, the settlers had a bountiful harvest and a feast was held to celebrate. Massasoit showed up with 90 warriors and 5 deer for the meal. For 3 days, the English and 100 ate and entertained one another. This was the famous first Thanksgiving children learn about in school. However, the word Thanksgiving would not have been used by these settlers to denote a harvest feast. For Puritans, a day of Thanksgiving was a day of fasting while giving thanks to God in prayer. The story of pilgrims and Indians does not end here. During the New Plymouth's first year, Squanto had been out. Realizing his substantial power as the only English speaker of his people, he conceived a plan to overthrow Massasoit. He persuaded locals he could command the English to make war or peace at his will. Obomock was suspicious of Squanto and warned Governor Bradford. Soon enough, they discovered Squanto's plot and informed Massasoit, who was furious. He demanded Squanto be handed over for a swift execution. Bradford refused. The interpreter was too valuable to give up.
Squanto was a coon.
Squanto's life belonged to the hands of the subject.
Everywhere, man.
Bradford finally conceded. He was about to hand over Squanto when an unidentified ship appeared. The alarm it caused delayed Bradford and worried Massasoit's head boys. Angered and impatient, they left. The ship carried 60 Englishmen planned to build a colony near Boston. They abused the Massachusetts locals, initiating a conspiracy to kill the colonists. Warned about the plot, New Plymouth's leaders launched a 300 strike to save their impudent country. It brought peace for a time. In that time, more Puritan settlers arrived, soon outnumbering the natives. And while the Pilgrims' treaty with Massasoit lasted until the Saction's death, other Puritans were not concerned with such alliances. Their fanatic religious principles ensured no peace between the two cultures could last. To Puritans, Native Americans were the other, wild, savage, godless. With such an ideology, the outcome was inevitable. If they did not convert to Christianity and surrender their cultural identity, they had to be eliminated. The first Thanksgiving was a brief moment of harmony between the two worlds, but sadly it was short-lived. The capitalist opportunities to go plan presented, combined with zealous puritanical beliefs, were incentive enough to wipe away the native inhabitants. There is nothing wrong with sharing a feast of thanks with loved ones, but remember the true event. The start of the holiday, and not the fairy tale.
Yeah, and it's nothing wrong. Yeah, it's nothing wrong when it pertains to you. As you see, this feast don't pertain to so-called black people, Native American Indian people, Hispanic people. Yeah, this feast ain't for us. From there, there's some reading. Lost Tribes and Promised Lands. The Origins of American Racism by Ronald Sanders. We read in this book previous weeks. Grab some pages out of this book I thought were good for this lesson. Should we be keeping Thanksgiving? First, page 26. It's a chapter called Light and Vain Persons. Speaking to the character of the pilgrims that came over and started this feast day in thanks for a friendship with the locals and a lasting relationship of peace and prosperity.
Yeah.
Where we going?
Psalms 55:20.
I got that. Psalms 55, 20, 21. Go ahead, bring it up.
He had put forth his hand against
55 and what?
55, 20, and 21.
All right.
He had put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him. He had broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war.
So what we see was in the video, the first meal that they had was a meal of peace. Go ahead.
The words of
But
his
he
mouth,
broke his covenant, Sloggy. But you're right, he broke his covenant.
He had put
Yeah.
forth his hand against such as be at peace with him. He had broken his covenant.
Mm-hmm.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, but yet they were drawing swords.
Mm-hmm. Time. And that's exactly the character of the pilgrims that came over here and started this great holiday that we have today.
I got another precept too.
Okay.
It's the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2. We can start.
Habakkuk 2.
And we start at verse 3. Well, we can start at verse 2. Matter of fact, we'll just start at verse 1.
All right.
We'll read down to 12.
Mm-hmm.
This is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2. We're going to start at verse 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, and because it will surely come, it will not tarry. And that what you see right now, the Most High is exposing the lies that the so-called white man is bringing forth about Thanksgiving. The Most High, he's setting you to see the vision. Behold, his soul which is lifted up in is not upright in him. Salaka. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also because he transgressed by wine. He is a proud man, neither keeper at home, who enlarged his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And as you see, like we read earlier, all around the world, everywhere, they're celebrating Thanksgiving. And heapeth all people to him right here. We got Asian people, we got Arabs, we got East Indians, and they over here, and they all get ready to celebrate Thanksgiving. They don't know where it come from, but they get to have a Thanksgiving dinner. Mm-hmm. They get to put a curry turkey on the table. How about that?
This is what this country is
with
built
some chickpeas.
On. This country is built on a nation, all people coming together. Just like the Maccabees, just like the kingdom of Antiochus was established. The Romans were established.
Go
ahead. Was that it?
Shall not all these take up a parable against him? and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Because thou hast spoiled many nations. All the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness, to the house that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establish a city by iniquity. So the so-called white man, he got death and destruction coming to him because he did nothing but build the whole United States of America. He done colonized every country you can think of. He done been all around the world. He done broke many, many, many treaties. And he got blood to pay. The Most High said, woe to him. Destruction is coming. He's got an evil covetousness. That means take it till he can't take no more, man. Like, you really trying to take till you can't take no more. Okay, so you put the so-called black man and Native Indian man on reservations and in the projects, but no, we're going to take and tear down the projects. We're going to build up these homes. We're going to try to gentrify it. We decide we want that now. So we put you on reservations, and now we're going to run the Dakota pipeline and the Keystone pipeline, and we're going to decide we don't care about your drinking water. And since you don't want to get off the land, we're going to spray you with mace from helicopters, and they're going to sick dogs on them like the civil rights movement. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. How you going to do that? The Most High said death and destruction is coming to this man for these things. It said that they said this themselves and up in the high places. That's them putting themselves as the hierarchy. They put their nest on high. That's them. They think theirs is the greatest of all. You know what I mean? So the Most High going to smite them. Thus saith the Lord. Anything else you want to add?
So lost tribes in promised lands. Lost Tribes in Promised Lands, page 1, chapter 26, page 325. Chapter 26, Light and Vain Persons.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
The book of Lost Tribes and Promised Lands, The Origins of American Racism by Ronald Sanders. Chapter 26, Light and Vain Persons.
These following chapters in this book are pretty much all about the conquering of the Pequots, the Wampanoag, all the natives of the New England area. If you don't have this book in your collection, get this book. Actually, the whole book is good. But if you want to know about what the goings on here in America, the couple chapters before the chapter here we're starting at, it starts off with Captain John Smith. Everybody heard of the Pocahontas?
Yeah.
So the story of Captain John Smith and Pocahontas kind of starts off his bringing out the history of the Europeans coming to America in this book. But we're going to start with on chapter 26 on vain persons. Go ahead, Slaki.
The book of Lost Tribes of Promised Land, The Origins of American Racism, chapter 26. On a return trip to England in 1624 to raise money and moral support for the Plymouth colony, Edward Winslow published a sequel to his earlier anonymous narratives. Good News from New England contains the whole story of Squanto's demise, but this is not its only subject matter, and other aspects of it were even more interesting to Samuel's Purchas, who concluded a portion of it in the last volume of his Pilgrims. Winslow, sounding more Puritan in it than ever before, states in his preface that he has written the book to encourage potential settlers of upright life and conversation, which doctrine of manners ought first to be preached by giving a good example to the poor, savage, heartless amongst whom they live.
They're calling the Indians savage heathens. Go ahead.
On the other hand, it is a warning to light and vain persons to stay away from New England. And what great offense
because of what great offense
have been given by many profane men who, being but seeming Christians, have made Christ and Christianity stink in the nostrils of the poor infidels, and so laid a stumbling block before them.
So this is just speaking to the people that started off this holiday, and their own pen is calling them, those Christians, that they were profane and made Christ and Christianity stink in the nostrils of the poor infidels. So just to break this thought of the Native Americans being so happy to feast with these pilgrims and to come together and to make deals with them and covenants with them. Nah, they saw these people as a stink in their nostrils. They wasn't happy about these people being here. They wasn't happy about most of their people being killed through a smallpox that the Europeans brought. Go ahead.
These angry words refer primarily to Thomas Weston and the short-lived colony he had established in Boston Bay, to which the largest part of Winslow's book is devoted. Weston was
actually drop that. Go to the next page now. That's all I wanted from there. So the next page is a couple pages, chapter 27. Chapter 27. This is a chapter dedicated to the massacre of the Pequots. Am I saying that right? Yeah. The massacre of the Pequots, the native inhabitants of New England in the area where one of the first Thanksgivings, quote unquote, took place. Were the origins of the feast that we have today of Thanksgiving.
The massacre of the Pequots. When the first group of about 900 founders of the Massachusetts Bay Colony reached its destination in the summer of 1630, the area of the future state, being that name, had an English population of about 300, most of them living in Plymouth. This was the total for the 10 years of the settlement. But in another 10 years, the figure would be some 14,000, and Plymouth would be dwarfed by the colony that was eventually to be absorbed.
So originally it was about 300 men for a good 10 years. So any peace and tranquility with the natives and getting along, why was that?
There was few in numbers.
Few in numbers. Yeah, they're friendly they're friendly when they need to be. But like the scripture brought out, what did it say? But it really, he had a sword.
Smooth
as butter, but really he had a sword in his mind. Yeah, so it started out low in numbers. So yeah, you might have had some getting-togethers, some peace dinners. Go ahead.
A similar Slacky.
As soon as you see an opportunity, that's when he struck.
But as soon as you see an opportunity, one of them being they have reached by that 10-year period 14,000. Now we can expand. We done killed off the majority of these people here along the coast. Now we can expand into New England. Now we can spread down through Connecticut.
And they strategically did this with germ warfare.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Similar growth.
A similar growth was to take place elsewhere in the English colonies as well during the decade of 1630 and 1640. For the Great Migration of the period, often thought of only with reference to New England, in fact, reached out to all westward horizons and even covered Ireland. Land hunger and the desire for material self-empowerment were as much motives for this exodus as religious aspirations were, and New England was far from the only place where they could be satisfied. Furthermore, even in New England, the great majority of the settlers were drawn no less by the generous terms for land allotment there than by religious ideas. Yet the fact remains.
So they were coming because of the land, and that they could get land for cheap because they were stealing the land. Go ahead.
Yet the fact remains that Massachusetts Bay, which along with its offspring in Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Maine, was far and away the giant of continental Anglo-America in the epoch, contained the lion's share of the colonial traits that would ultimately develop into the American character, predominantly Puritan, as well as land-hungry, restless Slovakia, and consumed with both worldly and spiritual ambitions. The New England settlements
said land-hungry. What did we read about that? What did we read about it?
In Habakkuk.
Come on, go ahead.
The New England settlements were the principal seedbed not only of a nation's democratic ideas, but of its peculiar brand of empire as well. Some aspects of the latter are well summed up by a man who was no hero to Puritans, but very much an Englishman of the incipient age of expansion, Sir Thomas More, who wrote of the continent whose utopians colonized whenever their own island became overcrowded. The natives there have more land than they can use, so some of it lies fallow. The utopians permit the natives to live in the colony if they wish, since their acceptance of utopian laws and customs means they are easily assimilated, which benefits both peoples. The utopian way of life makes the land fruitful.
How do you permit somebody to live on land that's already there? Right. and smallpox blankets.
And decide this is good for both of us if you live our way, the utopian way.
Mm-hmm. And that's the same. He came in with the sword and their religious laws and customs the same way. Who did? The Greeks did. The Romans did. Go ahead.
All natives who refuse to live under utopian law are driven out of the colony, and war is waged on the natives who resist. Utopians regard a war as just if it was waged to oust a people who refuse to allow vacant land to be used according to the very law of nature. This Anglo-Saxon self-assurance about
what's the very law of nature?
Well, their law of nature.
I remember it was a curse that Adam had to till the land. Because they're saying, they got land, they're not doing nothing with it. Because they're not, listen, so the natives they didn't live on economy. I got this land, let me use all of it. That way I can go sell the goods that I pull from it. But that's the mind state of the European. That's the mind state of Esau. So they see this unused land and like, well, since they're not using it, they can't claim it. They can't claim this land.
Anything like Israel.
Yeah. And then they said the natural law of nature, the land being used for the very law of nature. The original law of nature was that the land, if it's blessed, it would give forth fruit without putting a hand to it.
They couldn't understand the principles of land rest.
No, they don't care. They definitely didn't understand, and they don't care. Yeah, they still don't.
They still don't care.
That's one thing they didn't bring with their. That's one thing that they don't teach, right? In the Christian system, the Catholic system, they don't teach the land rest.
This is the extension of what's going on now. When we look at the gentrification of all the cities that they killed us and took it from us, right?
Mm-hmm.
We look at the red line. These are all tools and methods to steal land from the people. It's the same people. The same thing we see going on in Brooklyn. The same people where they're coming in. We use the word gentrification, And they'll do it by the pen here, and if the pen don't work, the sword.
Well, why they be using the pen in the sword? Because what they did is they used a war on drugs, and what they did is they let the property value drop because they said, "Oh, this is a drug area. We're gonna move in and we're gonna redline, not by keeping them out of this area, but by dropping the price of the property and the land in the area where they dwell because they sell drugs here. That way they can manifest their war on drugs against us, kill us, and get us out of the way while they take back the land and rebuild on it."
And limit us from being able to get the resources to maintain it. Because they devalue them so much. This is a crafty council.
Yes.
And also remember what's it called? The just recently the whole pipeline thing.
Yeah.
They were trying to
take Dakota pipeline.
Yeah, they was trying to take the pipeline, and it's the same mind state. Look, y'all live here, but you're not using this land for the natural law. It could be used for a pipeline. So since you're not using it, and you haven't put your own pipelines through here, y'all gotta go. Because look, this land, it needs to be used. It's the law of nature to use this land for the benefit of people. So we gotta displace you. You gotta go.
You're not thinking about their water sources.
You gotta go.
Not thinking that it's a monument to their burial grounds. None of that stuff. Just don't care.
Profit.
Yeah, profit.
This is what we're thankful for.
And it really didn't matter who the president was because they both got a hand in it. The Republicans and the Republicans. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
They both had a hand in it. You think Trump ain't gonna try to get the oil out there?
Oh
yeah, absolutely. And Obama was with it. And then Kamala and Biden, they was just an extension of the Barack Obama administration. Yeah, I mean, which he was an extension of the Clinton administration. For real. We can go back that far because they went to Haiti and they exploited the land over there. So why wouldn't they do it here?
Trump just came out and he hired this new commissioner guy from the world of fracking. He's a fracking professional, and he said, "Drill, baby, drill."
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember he just said that. And also in Venezuela, you have a small hat female who's prime minister who's taking over Venezuela's. And Venezuelans have some of the largest oil deposits, copper deposits, and platinum deposits, exceeding even what's over in Arabia.
Well, look at that. That's why they're sending the people here so they can go on the land. Yeah.
Drill, baby, drill.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yes.
You can see right through that.
Craft. That's high craft.
Yeah, that's high craft. And then make the Northern Kingdom come up here and feud with the Southern Kingdom. Yep.
Leaving the lands of richness to come up in here and cram up with the Southern
Yep.
guys.
And try to make us feud with each other. Yeah. But it's saying today that Judah will not vex Ephraim and Ephraim will not vex Judah. So it's going to come to it and we being oppressed together. They don't realize what they're doing. They setting themselves up for failure.
Exactly.
Okay, it's 4:15. We're going to speed up a little bit. Read this. Keep going. And then I'm going to have you skip ahead a page or two.
This Anglo-Saxon self-assurance about nature's laws reverberates down through the ages, passing through the Puritan leaders of the early New England into recent American history.
So we was just talking about today, and the book is letting us know that these ways and this mind state is trickled down from the founding, quote unquote, founding fathers down through American history up to today. They're operating off of the same morals, same ideals.
Do y'all see what we're talking about? You see what we're talking about?
And this is what they're thankful for. This is what Thanksgiving is for them every year. And when we're partaking in it as well, this is what we're thankful for.
We're thankful to have our oppressors over top of us and doing the things that they're doing and celebrating their ways and living in our ignorance. And let's just go with it. Let's do it the American way. We're going to live the American dream.
They're not going to get taught none of this in school.
Yeah, that's what I was asking them. Did they understand what we're going over?
So go to the next page, 328. And now he's now it's going to talk about the cruelties, and it's going to compare it to the Spaniards, how these Europeans operated, and they're taking over this area of the map, similar to how the Spaniards did. But it's going to show that it wasn't as straightforward as the Spaniards, but the cruelties the same were equal, in that the English came over here in a more deceitful way, pretending friendship, but with that sword really in their mind. Go ahead.
Lost
Read
Tribes in
the-
Promised Land.
Read the
page
highlighted
328,
part and
highlighted
then
middle paragraph.
till I tell you to stop. Come on.
They have made doled out their cruelties with greater hesitancy and misgiving than the Spaniards did.
So not right away with a little bit of hesitancy. It wasn't so quick to come in and just start slaughtering. Go ahead.
But in the end, they doled them out all the same.
See that?
For all the differences between the slaughterers of Cholula and those we are about to see at Mystic Fort, there remains a final point of reckoning at which, however strangely and ironically they come together, the dead of both places would hardly quibble over the distinctions between English and Spanish national character.
So this is speaking to the slaughters of the natives of the Plymouth, Massachusetts, New England area, and how it was the same as the Spaniards, even though it didn't come right away upon their landing. So think back of the things that we read in the book Destruction of the Indies. So the babies being ripped out of stomachs,
Yep.
the women hanged, the people being burned over fire pits, all the different things you read about in Destruction of the Indies. He's letting us know the same thing happened in this area, the Northeast United States area, where you commonly think that Thanksgiving goes back to. Keep reading.
The Puritans do not give the impression, as Spaniards did, of having charged with swords drawn the moment they set foot on the American continent. It took them a few years to discover their great hunger for it, and until 1634, Anglo-Indian relations at Massachusetts Bay were rather sedate indeed. They seem almost idyllic, even allowing for the extent to which this situation was due to near extinction of the local native population. That early mood comes, though, in such a writer as the Reverend Francis Higginson, who could say in 1630 of the Massachusetts Indians, they do generally profess to like well of our coming and planning here, partly because there is an abundance of ground that they cannot possess nor make use of, and partly because our being here will be a means both of relief of them when they want, and also of defense from their enemies, wherewith I say, before the plantation began, they were often in danger.
So what did he just bring out here? He brought out that the same way that the natives of Hispaniola, or what's called today Puerto Rico, Puerto Rican, the way they were hospitable, the way they were gentle, the way they were willing to share the space, the land, the resources. The same was the Pecotes. The same was the Wagon, how do you say it? Wampanoags. The same was all these natives of New England. They were willing to share this land because they wasn't using it. So, yeah, they were friendly with the Pilgrims. But the Pilgrims had that intent that, okay, yeah, we got war in our heart. Once we're gonna get this land, so we're gonna be friendly. We're gonna play nice. But once we get this, we're gonna need a little more. And now we gotta take you out.
And they use that same tactic when you look at the civil rights movement. Playing you close and walking with you is two different things.
All right.
We find that the FBI has infiltrated
Yeah,
the CIA is infiltrating any black organization that has a hope for black people to have a life here, have decency on the earth. They've always been involved with that. So they come in. It says that he shall go forth as a crouching lion, right? And this is how he come in, humble in his ways. But his mind is about war and bloodshed.
Look, we're not like those lions that came before.
Yeah.
Those were the hungry lions.
Exactly.
We're good. Just feed us a little,
Puritans.
throw us a little steak here and there, and we're good. We're not trying to eat everything. We're not trying to,
Running reconnaissance. All that is, running reconnaissance, right? And in fact, we don't get along with the major white evangelical churches over here. We separated from them.
Right.
But the same people, same spirit. The spirit in him is not upright. Makes no difference how far he has a dissension with his brother or his sister. He is still the same man on the earth.
That's right.
And it says
That's
it just took them a little bit longer to draw the sword, but yet they drew the sword.
From there,
That tells that it's Esau right there too. Like, I don't know how you brothers is so-called Hebrew Israelites, and you teaching that this so-called man is not Esau. How are you teaching this is not Esau? That makes no sense.
Who else?
Who else but he?
mm-hmm.
Who else is not the wicked of the earth who have covered the faces of the judges thereof? Who is not? Who else is not the border of wickedness? Who else is the border of wickedness? Like, you gotta help me with that. I'm sorry.
Who's more profane than Esau?
No more profane.
Well, when you're dealing with the other brothers like that, you know, those are the sellouts.
Who has not in this world, not just this country, but in this world, taken till they have not had enough? In the scriptures, it said they got an evil covetousness, wanting what the other people have, and a wicked covetousness. Who else around the world breaking these treaties? Breaking these treaties. Like I said, we just saw earlier this week. You saw them over there in New Zealand with the Maori people breaking the treaties, and then the lady in the parliament doing the haka dance. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I don't see a whole lot of air for emphasis all over.
Nah.
Okay, so moving on, let's skip ahead to page 336.
The book of Lost Tribes and Promised Lands, page 356.
336.
336, Salakia.
Okay.
Such taunts were bound to backfire dangerously. By the last week of May, the English of Saybrook had decided upon a major attack, but not against Peacoat Harbor, where they were expected rather after sailing unto Mayatonimo's village of Narragansett Bay, where they added several hundred warriors to their invading force. They marched overland to the Peacoat Fort at the mouth of the Mystic River and a few miles east of Peacoat Harbor. There were about 400 Indians at Mystic Fort at the moment, including women and children, and a group of about 150 warriors who had just arrived to prepare for a large-scale attack upon the English. Their triumphant songs reached the nervous ears of the arriving invaders, who made camp for the night in the woods nearby. At 1 o'clock the next morning, May 26, 1637, the march toward the fort began, but suddenly several hundred Narragansetts who had continued taunting the English along the way, according to Mason, with remarks that we durst not look upon a peacoat, but themselves will perform great things. All took to flight, whether this was themselves, Salaki, was out of fear or a last-minute display of lingering solidarity with their Eastward Peacoat friends, is possible to say. Impossible to say. Apparently, some of the Mohegans in the force also fled, though not Ucas himself, who knew exactly where his future lay. The English tried to persuade some of the deserting Indians at least to stand by and watch at the distance. They pleased and see whether Englishmen would now fight or not. In the final approach, the two commanders divided whatever force remained to them, and Mason moved in from the west, Underhill from the north, penetrating the palisades that surrounded the fort. The two constituents of some of them, at any rate, rushed from the respective sides to the wigwams in which the unsuspecting Peacoats still slept. They broke inside, and suddenly the Peacoat warriors were awake and in action.
Hold that, drop down. But there. Go ahead.
But there was to be no final decision between the two sides as grounds of chivalry. Suddenly, the fort had been set afire, possibly by Mason himself, who was much more determined than Underhill to carry out the just judgment of God against the Peacoats, without any interference from considerations of fair play. Indeed, it is very likely that the fire was a prearranged plan, for the flames spread very quickly. So quickly that, according to William Bradford's account, made from eyewitnesses' reports, and more of the peacoats were burnt to death than was otherwise slain. And yet the English were able to assemble themselves outside of the fort unscathed, ready to deal with all those who rushed to escape. Not many escaped, however. The great majority of the peacoats in the village must have perished in their sleep, but there also were many warriors who preferred the agony of the flames to the instantaneous sentences being meted out by the waiting muskets. Many courageous fellows were unwilling to come out, wrote the astonished Underhill, and fought most desperately through the palisades, so as they were scorched and burnt with the very flame and were deprived of their arms in regard the fire. Burnt their very bowstrings, and so perished valiantly. The Englishmen gaped in horror at their works. It was a fearful sight, in Bradford's words, to see them thus frying in the fire, and their streams of blood quenching the same, and horrible was the stink of scent thereof when the smoke had died down at last, and the English re-entered the fort. Some of them recoiled to see so many souls lie gasping out of the ground, so thick in some places that you could hardly pass along. Most of the long dreaded Peacoat nation now laying smoldered at their feet.
See, this was men, women, and children. Men, women, and children. This is what Thanksgiving is about.
And it said they laid smoldered. That means they was burnt and they was suffocated from smoke inhalation and soot.
Okay, my
From there, go to page 340.
So go ahead.
My question is, out of all that, where's the so-called good white people?
Right.
That our people say there's good white people. Where was the good white people there?
They're sitting back at the village doing nothing. They wasn't defending. They wasn't saying stop, don't go.
Nope, just taking note of it.
Yeah, they was just saying, well, we're not the ones. It's them doing it.
That's how.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. How stupid our people are.
Mhm.
They think there's good white people because they wasn't actually involved directly, but they sat there and said nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
They sit there and just say anything to them and say, "Why are y'all doing this to these people?"
It also sounds like the MOVE event. Remember up in Philadelphia?
Yeah, Mumia Abu Jamal and Ramona, Africa.
They burned them on fire, and then when they came out, men, women, and children, they were shooting at them and killing them. And you had evil Mayor Wilson Good. He came out and made a speech and said, "If I had to do it, I'll do it again."
I think it was Asada Shakur was in there too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I remember my dad used to tell me growing up, if you roll with them, you're guilty with them. So like if your friends, they go and rob a 7-Eleven, and even though you with them, you ain't did nothing. When the police come, they not listening to, I didn't do it. I was in the car.
Conspiracy.
Oh, did you stop them? Did you call the police? Oh, you're guilty with them.
That's your thoughts of the black Christian.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly.
Always trying to find a way to party.
340. That's 340?
Yep. Lost Tribes in Promised Land, page 340.
Okay. Go ahead.
Some Peacoats apparently were kept as bondmen by the English, but it was found preferable to have the remnants of Amalek out of the sight altogether.
I got this backwards. Go to 339. Somehow I did it backwards, but it's not good. Okay, read the delivering of God's judgment.
The Massacre of the Peacoats, page 39, middle paragraph, Lost Tribes in Promised Land, the origins of American racism. Scattered groups of individuals were pursued through the
Just
forest.
start at the beginning of the paragraph, the delivery.
Okay. The delivering of God's judgment had not quite ended at Mystic Fort. A few hundred more Pequots were still alive, but the tribe was now not going to be allowed to survive as such. Scattered groups of individuals were pursued through the forest, some of them to be taken prisoner, most of them killed in the ensuing weeks. Some of them had fled to neighboring Indian tribes once considered friendly, but English law now prevailed through the land in the wake of victory, and many of the Pequots to the Mohawks with some of his Slovakia. Many of the Pequot refugees were killed or returned. Sassacus, the Pequot sachem, had fled to the Mohawks with some of his men, but they were killed by these erstwhile allies who sent their scalps to the English. There was a final engagement near the Dutch line in July, at the which some 280 Pequots surrendered, the last significant rump of the devastated people. Prisoners were distributed mainly among the various tribes of New England, among whom they were to live ostensibly in servitude.
So they were left to have to go live amongst their other rival Indian tribes as basically the bottom of the barrel, servants. In Indian tribes, they will eventually suffer the same exact fate. Go ahead.
But at any rate, without the privilege of calling themselves Pequots again. The very word Pequot was eliminated from the map, the river of that name becoming the Thames. The village of the same name becomes New London. Some Pequots apparently were kept as bondmen by the English, but it was found preferable to have the remnants of Amalek out of the sight altogether.
And also, they would use the Bible to justify their religions. They would take the stories to use it part of their religion. So they would call the Indians Amalek just because God hated them and because Amalek is so wicked. So they would take the savages and they say, oh, they're so wicked, they're so evil, and God don't like them. So now we got justification to kill them, and they would label them, oh, this is Amalek.
And you
had nothing to do with matching them according to characteristics of the Bible or any of that. That just part of what we see today, their rhetoric with the religions and how it doesn't match up the actual Bible that they have in the pews and at the front.
You call them Amalek, and Amalek the one who's funding your slave trade to bring these people overseas and to take so-called African Americans down to the Caribbean at the time. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
17 of the captives, 15 boys and 2 women, were sent to be traded off as slaves in the West Indies. John Winthrop tells us this and also writes in an entry for the following February that the Captain William Pierce, who had taken out this cargo of Pequots, returned from the West Indies after 7 months. He had been at Providence Island and bought some cotton and tobacco and Negroes, etc., from thence, and salt from Tortugas. In others' words, the remnant of New England's dreaded enemy had been bartered for, among other things, some Negro slaves. This is another of our history's faithful configurations.
See that? So Thanksgiving wasn't just about the Native Americans. You had the so-called Negroes in there too, being sold and bartered back and forth with the quote-unquote Native American Indians. So not only does history show that the original feasts of Thanksgiving were at the expense of both Negroes and quote-unquote Indians, newfound subjection to the European, but history is also showing that some of today's quote-unquote Negro, Black, African Americans population could actually be of Native American ancestry. And how are we going to prove that? A couple ways. One being, first, we'll go to this article about what you brought out earlier. And what was you bringing out earlier?
I put it in
What
your
year?
messenger.
What year though was it?
Um,
I think it says here around 1866.
yeah, I believe that's the correct one. It's the same thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Virginia Indians no longer exist December 1943. Walter Plecker policies pressured state agencies to reclassify most citizens reclaiming Indian identity as colored.
This really happened. This
Yes.
is a historical fact. Go ahead.
Historical background. Virginia has had a long history of legally defining peoples by race. Colonial laws of slavery often use the word Negro and enslaved interchangeably. And by law, at various times, some Indians could be enslaved and others not. In 1866, laws decreed that every person having 1/4 of more African American blood was deemed to be a colored person, and everyone not a colored person having 1/4 or more Indian blood was to be deemed an Indian. On March 20th, 1924, Virginia passed the Act to Preserve Racial Integrity, which defined as colored all persons having any discoverable non-white ancestry, and therefore subjecting all persons of mixed race ancestry to the racial segregation laws and laws against interracial marriage. In charge of the state vital statistics records. Walter Ashby Plecker, in charge of the state's vital statistics records, employed the law to classify all Virginians as white or colored and to classify the state's Indians as colored. Plecker believed that some African Americans were attempting to pass as Indians and feared that Indians would attempt to pass as white. We obsessively documented each and every birth and marriage. Registration submitted to the agency and manipulated and distorted records to show that the genealogical heritage of Virginia Indians was so intermixed with Virginia's African Americans that no real Indians existed. Plecker's obsession with racial integrity is well in evidence in the December of 1943 letter and list of surnames by county of families that he believed were trying to pass for white or Indian as state register of vital statistics. He wrote many letters of directives to county officials were about specific individuals whom he felt were trying to pass as white. He often asked for the evidence from the county clerk to prove the people in question were of African American descent. Plecker also regularly sent out alerts to the county officials, hospitals, doctors, midwives, and other healthcare workers and record keepers about the families that he considered suspect.
Right now.
The Racial Integrity Act of 1924 recognized only two races, white and colored. The act required that racial description of every person be recorded at birth and made marriage between white persons and non-white persons a felony. Plecker developed the racial project.
Drop that. So if you can read more on that on your own studies, you can look it up. But just like the brother brought out earlier, so in Virginia, they turned Indians into colored. Blacks and Indians both registered as colored.
Negro.
So today you got people who identify as Negro and identify as coming over here from the West Coast of Africa on slave ships really could be descendants of Native American Indian ancestry. More proof is in the images. When you look up the images of the Native Americans, the original images, not what they, push today, everybody's light skinned, you find what? You find these images. And these images on the screen right now are actually the Indians from where we just read about and have been talking about this whole class, the New England area natives. The Indian on the right, that's King Philip. That's the son of either Squanto or the other chief we read about.
And he's the son of Massasoit.
Massasoit. So we read about him. On the left, I believe that is just it's down here, next image. On the left is Samoset, or no, Slack that the left, I believe, might have been Squanto. This is Samoset. Either way, as you see, all three of these Native Americans that we saw images of, they all could pass for black if they cut their hair like African American. This is the way the natives look. Why? Because we know that it's all the same people.
Yeah.
We know that we're all descendants of Jacob.
Now, this is what they do when they do the wordplay, where natives,
Indigenous.
Yeah, you have to go with indigenous because if you go with native and Indian, that's where the mix-up comes into play. You know, because you're gonna say, well, what were we before they called us Indians?
And then they separate all these different people groups. They got 100 different people groups to separate everybody into. And then they taken away the identity of Israel. So you're not going to look into the scriptures and see, oh, Ephraim's mixed amongst the nations. He's a cake unturned. Israel is mixed amongst the nations. So you're not going to think the same people could have different looks and features, but all still be the same people. And you can link them back together through the Bible. Because you've been brainwashed and indoctrinated with Esau's philosophies, and you think that every category of a race is what he's giving you.
Yeah.
So you think that Nigerians a race, Guianans a race, Argentinians a race, Mexicans a race, Puerto Ricans a race. None of these are the same people. Even Native American Indians. Navajos are a race separate from Cherokees, separate from Seminoles, separate from Blackfoot.
And this was all part of their scheme of divide and conquer.
Exactly.
Not to take 1,000 people and break them up into 10 different groups. And each tribe is 100.
Yep.
Now that you got differences, that's how Esau got down. He took in different people on the premises on what their differences was from one another instead of what their likenesses were. So instead of them being the children of Israel and having a history of those people who came into the new land, he broke that.
And I can break them so much that they be so happy just to be able to get back a little bit of whatever tribe heritage it was, and they can have pride in that. Oh, they took away our ability to speak Navajo, but now we're able to get a little bit of it back. And I'm just so happy that I was able to get that back. I'm not looking at the broader picture of who were the Navajo.
And Amalek has learned from his own judgments because he stood afar. He watched when the stranger came into Israel and what they have done to Judah. And he said, so he denied his brother, the brother that's coming in the protection. So he's getting us to react that out again.
Right.
And the big trick is they got us to hate one another.
Yeah.
You know, split us up in those 100 different ways and got each line of them to hate each other going back and
to
forth,
not
to
see,
believe that we're not the same people.
Right. And look on the screen, this image. This is Eskimo. Who thought that there was Eskimos that look like this? Take these people, move them down to Cali, give them some American clothing, and you're gonna think they Negroes probably in the game. Give them some blue hats and t-shirts, and you go and put them in Cali. You're gonna think that's some black Crips.
Take them to Jamaica and they fit right in.
Yeah, take them to Jamaica. Yeah. This is yep. And then even on the point of Israel, natives being Israelites, look at the Eskimos' clothing. Look at the fringes on there. These fringes don't serve a purpose to keep warmth, but they made sure to put them there.
And now the Most High is reversing that mindset of thinking when he's telling Ezekiel to put them upon one stick and put another stick upon us. He's going to say, bring us back together. Now you want to see that without measure, like the stars above the sands of the sea. That the Lord knows that in uniting the northern and the southern tribes, that's what's going to blow their mind. And that's a threat to Esau and his kingdom.
For lack of time, I had a 20-minute video of just going through images of the Native American Indians and how it's so many of them being black people.
Show it.
Show it. It's already 4:47.
Sorry,
and I want to go through other stuff too, but okay. You know, I'll show like 5 minutes of it then.
I had a
but for anybody here or online, it's this YouTube page I follow. This I think he's a Zebulonite or something, but either way, he has a YouTube page. He goes in different books and history that's not brought out. His page is called I'll see it in a second, it'll be on the screen. But he has a whole playlist of like 4 videos that's like all 20 minutes long, just going through images of Native Americans, black Native Americans.
I was trying to go through my phone. I had one, and it showed Native Americans compared to prominent people in Black history today. Like it had Scottie Pippen and Tommy Davidson and Paul Mooney and Eddie Griffin, and they actually had Indians that actually looked like them. You know what I mean?
Well, the indigenous people always been black.
Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Ronnie. I'm the owner of Pipico.
Fair use. This video is being used for educational purposes only.
Yeah, so the page is called Karameu Ahawa.
Yeah, I watched.
Karameu Ahawa. And he has about 4 or 5 different videos of like 20 minutes long doing the same thing that you see in this video here. Oh, another lie that they'll tell about these Indians to try and kind of deceive you. They say that they're slaves that escaped to the Indians, and they interbred with the Indians, and that's how you got these Indians. But you know that's not true, because a lot of these Indians are jet black with straight hair, and you know that somebody that's 100% Negro like that, if they make a baby, whether it's with an Indian or white person or whoever, it's still going to have kinky hair. You don't get that straight hair right away from just mixing with another nation. You have to have been intertwining with these people for a lot longer than the Europeans was here in America at that time. Look at this dude on the left.
Yep,
they zoomed in on him. And that's that. So he's probably from the New England area. You bring him up to today, you're going to think he's descendant of West Africa.
Yeah.
That light-skinned dude looks more Negroid than what you would think is Native American as well. So there's a lot of people today that's celebrating Thanksgiving, thinking it's separate from the atrocities that happened to quote unquote blacks, but they're not even really quote unquote black. They're a descendant of the people that was destroyed by the Pilgrims. Since it's on commercial, I'm gonna drop that video for now. Like I said, you can go through like 4 different 20-minute videos if you go on that brother's page, Caramel.
Yeah, he brings out good information. I've been watching him for years. He brings out good information.
When y'all see stuff like this on YouTube, you gotta take down his page, his website, because you never know where they're going to take it off. So you can go directly to his website to watch.
So next point, the treatment of Native American Indians here in America is nothing to even be thankful for all around the board. I got this, we ain't got time to read this, but you can find this article on, let me pull it up, The American Genocide. It's on, let me pull it up real quick. You know, we'll read some of this instead of those 2 videos. The 2 videos that I got, you can look them up on YouTube. I was about to show a video about the Trail of Tears, and I was about to play a video about the boarding schools that they established to assimilate Native American Indians into being basically white people. They had a saying called "Kill the Indian, save the man." But I think this article might delve into a little bit of that. So we don't got time to play videos, but everybody can on their own time. If you want to see the videos, more about the atrocities, go on YouTube. Just look it up. Look up the Trail of Tears. You can find short videos. You can find long videos. Look up Indian boarding schools. A lot of good videos on the matter. I found this article really goes into a lot of atrocities and genocide that Americans commit on the Indians, and it's made by the people who came out with this article is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the People's Republic of China. So they're not really holding back punches that Americans probably would. So this article is called The American Genocide of the Indians, Historical Facts and Real Evidence. So this is what we're celebrating when we celebrate Thanksgiving. And you can go ahead and read that from the top.
The term genocide made from the ancient Greek word genos, race, nation, or tribe, and the Latin "caedir," killing, annihilation, was first coined by Raphael Lemkin, a Polish Jewish legal scholar, in 1944. Book Axis Rule in Occupied Europe. It originally means the destruction of a nation or ethnic group.
Destruction or a nation or ethnic group. So that's, and we can pause there. So that's what's been committed here in America. That's what Thanksgiving is about. And that's what you're celebrating when you celebrate Thanksgiving. Drop down. Now we're going to read something on these different genocides committed against the so-called Native American Indians. One being government-led action. Go ahead.
On July 4th, 1776, the United States of America was founded with the Declaration of Independence, which openly stated that he, the British king, was excited domestic instructions amongst all and has amongst us and endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages and slandered Native Americans as the merciless Indian savages.
So who understands what that just said? I'll break it down. Their Declaration of Independence states that, remember, this was an article wrote on breaking off of the English government. So when it said he, the Declaration states that the King of England endeavored to bring the Native American Indians insurrection amongst the endeavor to bring on their habits. So they're slandering the king for wanting to team up with Indians that they're calling merciless Indian savages. So the Declaration of Independence degrades the Native American Indians. Go ahead. And that's one of the problems with the King of England.
The U.S. government and leaders treated Native Americans with a belief of white superiority and supremacy, set out to annihilate the Indians and attempt to eradicate the race through cultural genocide.
Mm-hmm. And you'll see, and one of the ways was the boarding schools. If you go ahead and look that up, you'll see they were trying to kill the Indian, save the man, meaning turn him to a white man. Go ahead.
During the American War of Independence, 1775, 1783, the Second War of Independence, 1812 to 1815, and the Civil War, 1861 to 1865, the U.S. leaders began to transform its plantation economy as an adjunct to European colonism and to expand their territories, coveted the vast Indian lands, and launched thousands of attacks on Indian tribes, slaughtering Indian chiefs, soldiers, and even civilians, and taking Indian lands for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
In 1863, the United States enacted the Homestead Act, which provided the American citizen above the age of 21 with a mere registration fee of $10 US could acquire no more than 160 acres, about 64 to 75 hectares of land in the West. Lured by the land, the white people swarmed.
Remember,
into
so
the Indian
real
areas.
quick, so into the West. Now there's southern land in the West. This is where they sent the Indians in the Trail of Tears. So then they started to sell that off, and because the Indians were there, now what we're reading about is what happened to the Indians that were in the territory that they gave them, and now they want to sell it to their people. Go ahead.
The white people swarmed into the Indian areas and started a massacre that resulted in the death of thousands of Indians. Leaders of the U.S. government at the time openly claimed that the skins of Indians could be peeled off to make tall boots, that Indians must be annihilated or driven to places that no one would go, that Indians had to be wiped out swiftly, and that only dead Indians are good Indians.
Mm.
American soldiers saw the slaughter of Indians as natural, even an honor, and would not rest until they were killed. All killed. Similar hate rhetoric and atrocities abound and are well documented in many Native American extermination monographs.
See that?
Blood
these are
massacres and
things-
atrocities.
Blood massacres and atrocities. There's a whole list of them. So look this article up because it's already 5 o'clock. We can't read them all. But let's read this one. December 29th, 1890, near the Wounded Knee Creek in South Dakota, U.S. troops fired at the Indians, killing and injuring more than 350 people, according to U.S. Congressional Report. After the Wounded Knee Massacre, armed Indian resistance was largely suppressed. About 20 U.S. soldiers were awarded the Medal of Honor, and I believe Wounded Knee is when they broke out the Gatling gun, ain't it?
Oh, I believe that's true too.
Right? So this is what we're celebrating when we celebrate Thanksgiving. Westward expansion, forced migration, all these things. This is a great article. If you got time, go read it. This is what you're celebrating when you celebrate Thanksgiving. This is the real history, and it needs to be known. For lack of time, we're not going to read that whole article.
No, the first time they used it was against the Zulus, actually.
Oh, okay. But here, I think I could be wrong. I mean, either way, I know they used it. They came over there and they slaughtered all the men, women, children. It didn't matter. And for what? So that they could take the lands. So we'll close out with this video. Who's the artist here? Yeah, we're gonna close out with this video. Before we close out with the video, what's this video again? It's by what artist? Well, it's an anti-Thanksgiving rap song. What's the name?
Yellow Pen.
Yellow by artist Yellow Pen. It's a great video. Before we play this video, because this is going to be our closeout. Before we play this video, we want to say, first off, end by giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh by Shem Mashiach Yahweh Shai. This has been the Hebrew Chosen Elect Sabbath service. We hold every Shabbat from 1 to 4 p.m. roughly. Today, we ended a little bit late. Other than that, if you ain't got nothing else.
Yeah, remember we do got upcoming co-drive. If you'd like to give at hashtag BDanny01 on Cash App. Anything that you can get to help, we welcome it. We also trying to find a new place to fellowship. And you give any alms or free will offerings at hashtag Hebrew Chosen Elect on Cash App as well. And once again, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to the Most High Yahweh in the name of His Son Yahweh Shai. Call me Yashala. This video is for educational uses, fair use.
Must act slow.
When you go rogue, you make your own fun. No matter what it looks like. Rogue nicotine pouches. Long lasting. Great tasting.
Turkey. I can spend all this time straight in the kitchen. Stop playing. Of course, I took this food. You, baby, don't see you at the door.
The clock.
This is a cancellation. I know this is the time of the year where the family members get together, ain't it? Cookies, mashed potatoes, tomatoes, turkey butter with the dressing, ain't it? Wonder if I put a little bit of butter on the turkey with an elevator. Bloody people are cold, shoot and burn, leave you to suffer. This is not about people who live with meeting each other and feast on supper. This is about millions of enemies murdered, the villages burning and bleeding for nothing. This is about our citizens happy, acting like we are disgusted. Y'all be saying that ain't the reason we celebrate. It's about giving the glory to God and the time we spend as a family, ain't it? That was so long ago, we wouldn't even we gotta accept the changes. Sounding just like the white kids that be saying, forget about segregation. I can't keep embracing the demons. How do we celebrate on the same day as believers? When they tortured slavery, they was really trying to end it. Pieces come from over here. Yeah, you could hold up. Did I already say chopping up babies to pieces? Chop the baby. Grandma lucky. That's okay, Granny. Watch the baby. Even the dead bodies. Yeah. I'm killing everybody. Oh yeah. I'm talking Nazi press. No blood in the Holocaust. But you still won't call it off. Kill so many Indians, they had to get African. That's how we got it wrong. When they got it wrong. That's when they got our heart involved.
Yeah, it was a powerful video, man. I'm trying to tell you, man. Yeah, you should see Yael face.
I'm looking at this. That should be taking place among our people so they can wake up.
Absolutely.
They're not gonna listen.